your suit. It's time for bed for you, my love. Mrs. Banks.
I need to speak to you, Betty. I've told you repeatedly to keep that child under control.
I do.
Now look at this. I found it after you'd gone.
But Eric couldn't have done that. I was keeping strapped in his pushchair all the time.
Are you calling me a liar?
No, I'm just saying he couldn't have done it.
I'm sorry, Betty, but if you wish to continue working for me, you can't bring that child with you. You'll have to make arrangements to have him looked after.
But I can't, Mrs. Banks. You know I can't. There's no one I can leave him with.
Then I shall be obliged to dispense with your services forthwith. I've given you employment when no one else would. The fact that your child was illegitimate, fathered by some German, has made no difference to me. But I can't have him in my house any longer, and that's that.
You made your feelings plain enough. You've ignored him, hardly looked at him, never even spoken to him. And you've had your money's worth, Mrs. Banks, and more.
Luckily, I don't expect gratitude from someone like you. I shall retain your outstanding wages to cover the breakage.
Look, I'm sorry, Mrs. Banks. I shouldn't have said that. Let me stay on, please. I don't know what I'd do without my job with you.
You should have thought of that before. And I hope you don't expect a reference, because you certainly won't get one from me.
That may well be so, Ranniker, but have you actually met the man?
No, Herr Oberst, but I know him, of course. Everyone does.
Oh, yes, I'm sure they do. The man responsible for the reprisals at Karloff must be notorious.
With respect, Herr Oberst, that is by no means the whole truth. It was the Standartenführer who issued the order to the Waffen-SS to stop the reprisals.
Yes, I know all of that. You dishonor the emblem on your sleeves, but he did order those prisoners to be murdered in the first place. However, why this unexpected visit from such an important member of Herr Himmler's staff,
I was simply informed that he would be arriving, Herr Oberst. He is, of course, now in the Inspectorate of Concentration Camps.
Are you suggesting it is proposed to establish a concentration camp here on Guernsey?
I'm sure the Standartenführer will make the reasons for his visit known to us in due course.
Now, you may tell him I hope he'll do me the courtesy of dining with me in the mess this evening.
Certainly, Herr Oberst. Herr Standartenführer, good afternoon. I am Ranniker.
Standartenführer.
I trust you had a pleasant flight, sir?
Yes, thank you, I did. You know, one realizes from the air what a very small island this is.
Indeed, yes, sir. But of course, very important.
No?
As part of the British Isles, sir.
Yes. Shall we go?
Yes, of course. I have 3 cars waiting.
3?
2 for your staff, Herr Standartenführer.
My staff have quite enough to do in Berlin.
Forgive me, Herr Standartenführer. I assume
I'm
that...
sure I shall receive all the assistance I require from you, Ranniker.
See you next week then, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye-bye.
Philip, could you see somebody?
Oh, blast. I thought he was the last. I'm just going to start my round.
Yes, I know, but it won't take a minute. It's Betty Ridge.
Betty? Nothing wrong with Eric, is there?
Oh, no. Come in, Betty. Dr. Martell?
Hello, Betty. Come in. What's the trouble?
Well, I know you're busy, but, I wanted some advice, and Mrs. Martell thought you might be able to help.
Well, yes, of course I will if I can.
She's been given the sack.
Oh, Betty.
Mrs. Banks.
Oh, congratulations.
Philip.
Huh? Oh, sorry. So you want a job, is that it, Betty?
Yes.
All right, well, I wonder if there's anything going at the States office. Can you type?
Oh, I can't type, Doctor. And it won't be any good anyway. It's got to be somewhere where I can take the baby.
Yes. Yes, of course it has.
It has to be domestic work.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, I'll see if there's anything going at the hospital, but I think they're probably rather well taken care of.
Well, if you should hear of anything, I'd be very grateful.
Yes, of course. I'll keep my ears open, Betty.
Philip, I've got an idea.
I hope you will be comfortable, Herr Standartenführer. I thought you might prefer quarters here at the Kommandantur rather than a billet in the town, but if you would prefer it...
No, this will do very well.
Thank you, sir. Oberst Richter is naturally very much looking forward to meeting you and hopes you will be able to dine with him this evening in the mess, sir.
My compliments to Oberst Richter, but I would prefer him to join me for dinner. And you, naturally.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure he'll be only too pleased to do so. In the meantime, if there's anything else I can do...
No, not at the moment, Reinecker. That can wait until tomorrow.
Until dinner, then, Herr Standartenführer.
Run my bath and lay out a spare uniform.
Dr. Martell tells me that you're looking for work.
Yes.
Well, he's just told me in no uncertain terms that I must rest for a while, so we shall need extra help in the house. Would you be interested?
What?
It won't be permanent, I'm afraid, only for a month or so.
Well, that's all right.
Well, in that case...
But there is one difficulty. Or two, I should say.
What?
I can't give you a reference.
Oh, no, I gather you've had some trouble.
Well, something got broken, and Mrs. Banks blamed Eric, but it wasn't him. It was that pampered cat of hers. I'm afraid we had a few words.
I see. Well, that won't worry me too much. What was the other difficulty?
Well, Eric. I'll have to bring him with me.
Well, of course, why not?
Well, it'll be no trouble. I mean, he's used to sitting in his pushchair all day.
In his pushchair? Well, he'll do no such thing in this house. A child of that age needs, well, to crawl. Try standing up, find out what the world's all about. It's up to you to make sure he comes to no harm.
Herr Standartenführer, may I present Oberst Richter?
Thank you for accepting my invitation, Oberst Richter.
My pleasure. I hope you will soon find it convenient to accept mine, shall we say, tomorrow evening.
Thank you. Some champagne?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you intend to stay with us long, Mr. Standartenführer?
That depends on the various matters which require my attention. Well, then, to victory.
The Führer and victory.
Hello? Late, aren't you?
I thought we decided you wouldn't be calling anymore.
Well, you said that, not me.
Well, it's time he was in bed.
I thought we might go to the pictures.
What about Eric? I'm not leaving him on his own. That's final.
Well, can't we ever have a couple of hours together without... Well, look, ask someone to come and sit with him if you're that bothered.
Who? Your sister, perhaps? Would she come round? You can go to the pictures. No one's stopping you.
It is really rather good. I must congratulate your orderly.
I doubt if he contributed much. We arranged for a civilian cook to help him.
The Channel Islands evidently have their virtues, even if some people believe it would be as well if they didn't exist.
Didn't?
Exist. Do you agree?
You mean from our point of view?
Mm-hmm.
Tiny British islands off the coast of occupied France, a nuisance, certainly.
In what way, would you say?
Oh, impossible to leave them in the hands of the British. We must hold them. So we have to fortify them, garrison them, tie down troops needed elsewhere, use up scarce labour and materials. And yet for us they have no strategic significance. Our occupation is essential but negative.
Yes, well, it is certainly one school of thought. Another argues that as part of the British Isles they have an importance out of all proportion to their size.
A demonstration of the politics of power.
Quite so. There is no organized resistance on the island, is there?
The population is too small. And even if some people were so inclined, there's nowhere for them to hide.
But there is covert resistance. A frame of mind, regulations not being obeyed to the letter. These are attitudes which can be encouraged by undue leniency.
And have these attitudes been encouraged by undue leniency?
There have been examples, in my opinion, yes.
I fancy Reinecker is referring to certain decisions of mine with which he disagreed. But you see, I happen to believe in justice. And while justice should be stern, harsh, if necessary, it must not be cruel or arbitrary.
An authoritarian but civilized rule.
I should like to think so.
A model occupation, in other words. Well, with a largely passive population and no fighting going on, such a luxury is possible. There are no Jews on the island, I gather.
No, they were advised to leave by the British government before the occupation took place.
And they all went? None of the women left behind, for example?
Is the presence, or otherwise, of a few Jews of special interest to you?
It could be, yes. But you can assure me there are none.
None, Herr Standartenführer. I can guarantee that.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
There's some potato soup if you'd like some of that.
Betty.
Eric's still awake. I can hear him.
Eric, always Eric. But that's just an excuse, isn't it?
Look, do you want some of this soup or not?
Was I for some German soldier, but not me.
The soup, do you mean?
You know what I mean.
It always ends up like this, doesn't it?
Don't you know how I feel?
Oh, I understand how you feel, all right.
Well, then.
Oh, I don't mean about me.
Well, he's a nice little boy, I know that. It's just...
He's mine. His father's dead. I'm all he's got.
You could have him adopted. Even now, lots have done that.
No! I made up my mind long ago. I'm not going to give him up. Not to suit my convenience nor anyone else's.
We always seem to quarrel somehow, even though I don't want to.
If he always reminds you of something you don't like, well, that's natural enough. But there's nothing I can do about it.
Oh, give me time, Betty. Have a bit of patience. When he grows up
Yeah,
a
I
bit...
wonder if you'd ever forget. You'd do your best, perhaps. You'd try. But there's your sister. Would she let you? She wants the best for you, not someone like me with a German bastard.
Don't talk like
Yeah,
that.
well, she says it often enough. I know that, only too well.
If only he looked like you.
Yeah, but he doesn't. There's not a scrap of resemblance. He'll grow up to be the image of his father. Oh, it's no use. Nothing's going to change. You only make each other miserable. Look, don't come round here anymore. Let's make an end of it now.
I don't want to make an end of it.
I do. I mean it. I meant it before. It's for the best. You both know it. Good night, Will. Look after yourself. What's the matter then, my love? Did we wake you up? Is that it?
They must have joined the SS at about the same time.
It appears so.
Hanneke's ambitious. He covets the secret of your success.
Perspectives vary according to where one is. Here, for example, Richter, you command an island. In Berlin, thick with generals, Oberst and Standartenführers, a small fry.
That isn't quite an accurate comparison, is it? In the SS, high rank is much harder to achieve than in the Wehrmacht. You must agree that you're still young to have become a Standartenführer.
Well, would you not say that it's principally due to your distinguished battle record?
No, not so. It was one of those accidental moments which occur in life. I was on leave in Berlin. I chanced to meet my former commanding officer who introduced me to Herr Himmler. We got on rather well, and soon after I received my present appointment.
Perhaps the Reichsführer Himmler was impressed by the reputation you had achieved at Karlov.
He questioned me on the events which took place, and approved, I'm glad to say. I gather you do not.
Mowing down enemy soldiers with machine guns after they have surrendered does not seem to me to accord with the high traditions of the German army.
You have not seen action on the Eastern Front?
No.
Well, soon after the invasion of Russia, I was present when one of their divisional headquarters was captured. Documents had been left behind. One contained an order, an official order, Oberst Richter, that no German prisoners were to be taken.
I do not believe that enemy orders should govern our conduct.
Oh, we did not respond. Not then. We continued to take prisoners. Then we fought our way into Karlov. In the center of the village was a well, and in that well the bodies of 12 men, members of the Waffen-SS. Their bodies had been savagely mutilated, thrown into the well, left there to die. But 2 days later, we caught up with the Russian unit, and the survivors of that unit who surrendered were shot. And I issued a proclamation in Russian stating why. I regret the necessity, of course, but I do not regret my actions. The Russians took note, and there were fewer atrocities from then on. You know, I believe that those executions saved many lives in the long run.
But there were there not? Correct me if I'm wrong. There were reprisals against the civilian population. Karloff was burnt to the ground. Whole families were killed out of hand.
Yes, some men did take their own revenge, it is true. I stopped reprisals of that kind, and those responsible were court-martialed. These events took place not over a leisurely dinner in safety and comfort, but in the heat of a brutal battle. The Waffen-SS has a reputation which is sometimes exaggerated, perhaps because they are crack troops and often bear the brunt of the worst fighting. The Russians fear them, yes, but mostly because of their courage and success in battle.
The Waffen-SS now, of course, includes concentration camp guards.
The guards are regarded as belonging to the Waffen-SS. The Waffen-SS does not provide concentration camp guards. It is a distinction I would prefer not to be obliged to make. Fighting men do not much like being associated with the kind of people who become guards. Some of us made representations to Herr Himmler, but he had taken the decision for whatever reason. One must assume that the Führer approved.
Just the same, those guards are now your responsibility.
Or perhaps we can impress a few soldierly qualities on some of the louts that they have recruited.
Grunwald, there is no camp on this island for your inspectorate to concern itself with.
It might be quite a good place to establish one.
Well, that would have its merits, I suppose. A limited area, yet plenty of room to build huts.
On farming land?
Most food is already imported.
Well, we could turn it into a kind of Devil's Island.
Devil's Island became a symbol of the worst aspects of the French legal system. Frankly, even to talk about it is ludicrous. A concentration camp on British territory? What a propaganda gift that would be to the Allies.
Oh, no, I think that we can leave propaganda to Dr. Goebbels. He's very good at it. Well, I have kept you later than I intended.
Yes. Thank you for a most interesting evening. Until tomorrow. Good night, Standartenführer Grunwald.
Good night. Good night, Reinecke.
Good night, Herr Standartenführer.
Your office tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Herr Standartenführer. Good morning, Herr Standartenführer.
Good morning.
I have marked the location of suitable sites.
Sites?
Should it be decided to establish a camp on the island?
Oh, I see. Now, what I require at the moment are a number of reports. The relationship between the SS and the Wehrmacht, any problems, how they could be solved. The local newspaper, how it could be used more effectively. The same regarding the cinemas. I want to know how many children have been born on the island fathered by German soldiers, and the names and addresses of the women concerned.
I'm sorry, Herr Standartenführer.
Yes?
No specific records exist. Such births are registered in the name of the mother only.
But it must be known which children had German fathers.
Amongst the local
Well,
population.
find out. I'm not interested in the identity of the fathers, merely the mothers or the adoptive parents if the child has been adopted.
I shall see that you get the information you require.
It is being considered no more at this stage whether to follow the Polish model with respect to such children.
I see. To remove all male children of German blood and have them brought up in Germany.
Well, I shall look into the matter and form an opinion. The children would be of Aryan stock, after all.
Indeed, yes, and I'm sure that given the correct environment, they could be brought up as good Germans.
Yes, well, we'll see. The details I've asked for first. But tomorrow morning, please.
Is that lunch I can smell?
Soon be ready, Mr. Porteous.
Oh, will it? You'll have Mrs. B after you. Trespassing in her kitchen?
Well, she suggested it. We've been spring cleaning upstairs.
Well, smells good anyway. Where on earth did he get those?
They were yours. Mrs. Bartlett found them up in the attic, so I've given them to him.
Well, more his style than mine, I suppose, these days.
There we are.
And I assure you these regular meetings are essential. I'm glad you found it instructive.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Would you care for another?
I think there's time before mess, thank you. A young soldier called Erich Grunwald served on the island for a while. Was he a relative by any chance?
He was my brother. You have a good memory.
I remember him well. Due to the circumstances, he asked for permission to marry a Guernsey girl, which of course had to be refused.
He applied to marry her?
Oh, yes. Did you not know that?
That there was any question of marriage, no.
Oh, he was very serious about it.
You know that he's dead.
Yes. Yes, I was sorry to hear it. He was a good soldier.
He died a good soldier. He was a machine gunner. His unit was outflanked by the Russians. He held them off until reinforcements arrived, but by then he'd been cut to pieces. I was very fond of him.
I think I should tell you that the woman concerned bore him a child.
Yes, I know.
A boy.
Yes, it came to light. Well, shall we go?
Yes. Yes, of course.
I'm sorry, Herr Stadtführer. I didn't realize you intended to be here so early this morning.
It doesn't matter.
Concerning the local newspaper, I have here
Oh,
a
that will
list
wait.
of...
Today I want to tour the island.
I will arrange a car, sir. If you would tell me which of the possible campsites you would like to inspect first.
No, you needn't accompany me, Riker. Nor will I need a driver. I would prefer to drive myself.
Hello?
Why, I thought I'd polish the silver now.
Oh, no, Betty, you take Eric home. You've done more than enough for one day.
Oh, I don't mind, really.
No, the silver can wait until tomorrow. Don't forget Eric's toys.
Oh. Thank you for those, Mrs. Porteous. He loves them, he really does. You're very kind.
Oh, don't be so silly. They were only accumulating dust.
They mean a lot to me and I appreciate them. Now, are you sure there's nothing else I can do for you?
Quite sure. Off you go.
Right, well, I'll see you in the morning then. Bye.
Goodbye, Betty.
Fräulein Ridge?
What are you doing in my house?
This must be Eric.
Who are you? Who said you could come in?
My nephew.
What do you mean?
I am Standartenführer Grunwald. Eric was my brother. You know, the resemblance is quite remarkable. It's my father's side of the family. Does he get the correct food?
Correct. He gets everything I can manage.
Well, I've bought a few things, some butter, eggs, flour, baby food from Germany. There are various matters which I would like to discuss with you. It will take a little while.
How did you know about me and the baby?
A car will collect you tomorrow evening. Please kindly make arrangements for someone to look after the child and be ready at 7 o'clock.
There's no one I can leave him with. Besides, where am I to be taken?
Now, don't be afraid, Fräulein. You have nothing to fear from me. I only want to talk about Eric.
Did he say anything about me? Did you see him before he was killed?
No. I wish I had. But I'm sure he would have wanted us to talk, don't you think so?
Yes.
Just for 2 or 3 hours, there must be someone you can turn to.
I'll try.
Thank you. Until tomorrow.
All his things are in here. Now, I shan't be late.
Don't worry, Betty. He'll be all right.
Well, I wouldn't have asked, but 'tis important.
Well, Mrs. Martell will be over later. I'm sure we can manage between us.
Well, I must go. Thank you again. Right, now, you be a good boy.
Well, there's no need to hurry back. You just enjoy yourself. I suppose she's gone to see Will Danby. They are friends.
Is it to your liking?
Yes, thank you.
Please, try your wine. It's really rather a good vintage. Don't you think so?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I've never tasted wine before.
Never?
Oh, it's very nice. I like it.
Good.
Eric mentioned you, of course, but we didn't say you were an officer, a
Standartenführer. It is the equivalent of a colonel in the British Army. Eric was offered a commission, of course,
Was he?
but he refused.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes, he preferred to stay in the ranks.
He said he enjoyed the friendship. But I don't think he liked war. Not the way some men do.
He died bravely. I thought you'd like to know.
I wanted him to live, not die.
His body was discovered and identified after a German counterattack. It was a long while after his death, so... However, a few personal possessions, including part of a letter, have survived. It's no more than a fragment, but it refers to his child. Now, as you can see, the signature is still clearly legible.
I remember writing it. I hadn't heard from him, not for months.
There was no address, but the envelope bore a Guernsey stamp. I had to visit the island on duty, so I decided to make myself known to you.
How did you find me?
That wasn't difficult.
Did he ever tell his family, your mother and father, about his child?
No, this was the first that we knew of it. Perhaps he would have done eventually had he lived.
Perhaps. Well, I'd like to believe so. I can believe what I like now, can't I?
I'm going to be very frank. A soldier fathers a child in a strange country. Well, that's human nature, I assume. That's all it was. A passing affair which meant nothing. But I was surprised to learn that marriage had been discussed.
More than that. We agreed.
And what did he say when permission was refused?
Well, that he'd come back after the war, that we'd be married then. Well, perhaps he didn't mean it.
No, but they do mean it.
Yes.
Please, you can be honest with me. It is of no consequence now.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Eric was a good-looking fellow. But perhaps you like the company of soldiers, Oh, why not? There's no harm in that. But they don't usually talk about marriage, do they?
I see.
Eric talked of his family, I'm sure. And it must have seemed like a good opportunity, especially if there was a child on the way.
You're not the first one to call me a whore. And I don't suppose you'll be the last. A jerry bag. That's what I'm known as. I can't see why it's of any consequence to you. But I loved Eric with all my heart. And now he's dead, I love his memory and always shall. And I'm only thankful that at least I've got his son. I shouldn't have come.
No, please sit down.
I'd like to go.
You say you loved him. Are you sure it wasn't because of the estate? Didn't that have something to do with it?
What estate?
Money, then. Didn't that matter to you?
What money? He had no money. He was a private soldier who wanted to work on his father's farm after the war. Do you think I got pregnant just because of that?
Please. Please, come and sit down. Please. Please, Fräulein, please come and sit down. Now drink your wine. Please drink it. That's better. Now tell me exactly what he said.
Well, just that. That his father had a small farm not far from Munich, and after the war...
Nothing else?
Well, about the animals, the crops, the house we might live in.
I see. Yes, it is true. Eric expressed a wish to take over the farm that you mentioned. It is one of many belonging to the family, making up what I referred to as the estate.
Well, he only ever mentioned the farm.
Oh, yes, Eric loved that farm. It is one of our smaller properties, but most agreeable. However, the Grunwalds are one of the largest landowners in all Bavaria, and have been for more than 500 years. Brandy? A liqueur?
Oh, no, thank you.
Or some more wine, then. I must apologize for speaking to you as I did, but it was necessary. I had to know what sort of woman you were.
I wish Eric had told me the old truth.
He may have thought it would alarm you.
It would have done. I've never known anyone rich before, except to work for them. No wonder he didn't tell his family what they'd have made of me, a servant from Guernsey. Hardly bears thinking about.
Well, since Eric did try to marry you, perhaps he wanted to present you to the family as his wife. A fait accompli.
I wonder.
Well, knowing Eric, I think so. My father and mother are in fact very kind. Old-fashioned, perhaps, but decent, honorable people. Sad, of course, now, and very lonely. First Eric's death, and then my other brother, a Luftwaffe pilot, was killed in North Africa.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
You know, within a generation, the family name will die out. My parents find that prospect very hard to bear. Naturally, after so many centuries, so much tradition.
Die out? Why?
Well, there'll be no Grunwalds left. You know, it is ironic, but the only remaining male of Grunwald blood will be your son.
Where's you? You'll have children.
No, I shall never marry.
Oh, I think most men say that. When they meet the right girl, they soon change their minds.
No, for me, that will never be.
Oh, of course it will. Why shouldn't it?
Please, I'm obliged to tell you something, otherwise you will never understand. I was severely wounded when I acquired this. Internal injuries. I am told that I have made a remarkable recovery, but that I can never father children.
I see.
So you can imagine my parents' feelings when they learned that they might have a grandson after all. A Grunwald. They wanted to come and see him for themselves, but civilian travel to Guernsey is impossible.
Well, is that why you came here? Your family sent you?
Well, you would appreciate that there were certain questions to be answered. The letter on its own did not prove that the child was Eric's. I'm quite happy on that score. That the child might have been abnormal. Happily, he is not. And then there was the mother. We knew nothing of her.
Why should that matter?
Well, the child has your blood as well as Eric's. He's a Grunwald in appearance, but he will have some of your characteristics. As it happens, your origins are not important. I find you a woman of good character, of considerable native intelligence. All those is most reassuring.
For what?
The way the boy will develop as he grows up.
You talk about him as though he were a puppy. He's a little boy, not a dog from some breeding kennels.
No, but the right blood is most important if he's to be brought up as a Grunwald.
A what?
Where he belongs, in the Grunwald home.
You want to take him away from me?
No, please, I have explained that already. To my family, he represents the future. He is the only grandson and will be treated accordingly. He will receive a fine education. He will be a member
of a great family, the eventual heir to everything that the Grunwalds own.
He's mine. I won't give him up to you. No.
No? You consider your position on this island before you speak like that to me.
You can't make me.
I think I could, Fräulein. But I seek your consent, freely given. Now, I suggest you think it over, very carefully. And if you love your son, really love him, you think of him, not yourself.
He hasn't stirred all night, Betty.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Martell. I'm glad he's been no trouble. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll be off.
Something wrong, Betty?
No. Well, I had some wine and it's given me a bit of an headache, that's all.
Or I'll see you home, shall I?
I won't trouble you, Mr. Porteous.
Well, it's no trouble.
I'd rather be on my own, if you don't mind. Well, good night, then.
Good night, Betty. Night, Betty.
Come on, mind up.
Well, all the hallmarks of an evening went rather badly wrong. So much for your matchmaking.
Perhaps they just tell a tiff.
Well, perhaps she wasn't with Will Danby at all. Wine? Doesn't sound much like Will. It's funny, I could have sworn I heard a car draw up just before she came in.
Yes, so did I. But there aren't any cars on the road except German ones.
And German officers, at that.
She wouldn't ask us to look after her baby and then... would she?
But what do you think, Doctor?
I don't know how to advise you, Betty.
Well, I've tried to think of his welfare. I really have. I mean, if I keep him, he'll be poor. A bastard all his life. He'll never have anything.
As you're young, you won't always be alone.
Will Danby has talked about marriage. He says he'd try and accept Eric.
Well, there you are, then.
Oh, I think in his heart he'd always resent him, no matter how honestly he tried. Now, I don't want to lose him, Doctor. You know that. And yet now, by letting him go, I could give him more than I ever dreamed was possible.
Betty, 18 months ago, you made the right decision. I think you're going to have to make up your own mind again now.
Well, whether it's selfish or not, I want to keep him.
Well, keep him.
I think Eric's brother would take him anyway.
But he can't do that. Not without your consent.
And so, apart from my parents' wishes, it is clearly the right solution and in the best interests of the child himself. Excuse me. Yes? Yes, it's for you.
Thank you. Richter. Concerning what, Doctor? Can you not come to my office? I see. Yes, it's possible, but hardly convenient. Then it will have to be brief. Very good. I assume you've already spoken to the mother. Standartenführer Grünwald discussed it with me this very morning. The child will be recognized by his parents and brought up accordingly.
Yes, is it clearly understood that the child is British? That under British law, the mother has full rights over the child. Neither the putative father nor his family have any rights whatsoever.
The position under your law is quite clear to me, Doctor.
Yes, I think it is British law which matters in this case, isn't it, Colonel? Betty Ridge is entirely free, if she so wishes, to refuse. What's more, I think it would be wholly wrong if any undue pressure was to be brought to bear.
Führer Grunwald desires her consent. I'm not aware of any pressure.
Yes, Colonel, he is a senior officer of the Gestapo. I think we both know what that means.
No, Doctor, no. He is of the SS, not of the Gestapo.
Are you telling me that it would be impossible for him to take that child away from its mother without her consent, if he so wished? Colonel, you are commandant of this island. I think I'm entitled to your assurance that Betty Ridge can rely on the full protection afforded her by British law.
I have no reason to think she may not. But I will look into the matter, if that will set your mind at rest.
May I ask, is my return imperative?
Come in.
I see, yes. Yes, but I shall make all the necessary arrangements. I have just learned that Herr Himmler has called a special conference and that my presence is required. I shall have to leave tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Herr Standartenführer.
Before you do, may I speak to you concerning Fräulein Ridge?
If you will excuse me, gentlemen.
Except where military regulations have been imposed, British law prevails upon this island. Under that law, Fräulein Ridge has full rights over her child. It is her prerogative to keep him, if she wants to.
I know the position perfectly well.
Yes, I was sure that you did. I understand the wishes of your family in this matter, but Fräulein Ridge is absolutely entitled to disregard those wishes.
Under British law. As you pointed out, the occupying power may impose regulations which override that law.
I hope you are not considering any such course.
I have no power to impose anything of the kind.
Technically not, perhaps, if you could recommend.
I could.
Do you intend to?
There is a president.
Whatever the merits or otherwise of the action in Poland, it was not taken in pursuit of a purely personal end. I would like to think that sanction for a further experiment would not be given if the true reasons for it were known in Berlin.
And who would make such reasons known? You? Now, why should it concern you?
I'm responsible for the welfare of the civilian population of this island.
You know, you take considerable risks in pursuing your definition of justice, Oberst Richter.
As it happens, I think not, under the circumstances.
You say you understand, you don't. How can I explain to my family that because of one woman's obstinacy...
She is entitled to be obstinate. And I believe you know that. May I take it there will be no deportations?
There will be none.
And if Fräulein Ridge declines to give her consent?
She will be left alone. You have my assurance.
Thank you. I need take up no more of your time. Except for one thing. This was the only reason for your visit here, was it not? No concentration camp on this island was ever envisaged.
Oberst Richter, you have been most courteous to me whilst I have been here. Thank you.
It has been my pleasure, Standartenführer.
Might one venture a comment on your personal interest, Standartenführer?
You may.
I thought, with your permission, of course, that I might speak to Fräulein Ridge. I know these people, sir. I've had to deal with them for a long time. I think I might be able to persuade her, unless, of
I
course,
have given my word that no duress will be used.
Your word will be respected, sir. You know me? You know me, don't you?
Yes.
Where's the child?
He's asleep.
I've bought some documents, which you will sign of your own free will.
No. I've decided that
You
I'm
may
not going...
decide what you like. The boy will go to Germany anyway. If you refuse, all male children of German blood will be deported from the island and resettled in Germany. Standartenführer Grunwald will see to that. By your obstinacy, you will cause great distress to other mothers to no purpose whatever. And instead of receiving the gratitude of a great family, you will receive something else. Standartenführer Grunwald will leave, but I will still be here. And I will certainly ensure that you pay dearly for the inconvenience you have caused. I have the necessary power. Do not force me to use it. The boy will go to Germany anyway. It would be better for you to retain the goodwill of the father's family. You have no choice, Fräulein. Sigh. Make the best of it. Take him on board.
I know what a wrench this must be for you, but he will receive every care and the kind of upbringing few children are fortunate enough to have. When you think of him, think of a happy little boy, secure in the affection of his own family. Remember that. He will grow into a man worthy of his father, a man that you can be proud of. I'm deeply grateful to you, Fräulein. I know what it must have cost you. But thank you for giving your consent.
The nurse and child are on board and the plane is ready for takeoff, Excellentenführer.
Thank you for all your help, Reiniger.
It has been a pleasure to be of service, sir.
There will be no further contact between mother and child, but keep an eye on her. See that she comes to no harm.
Of course.
Perhaps next time you're in Berlin, you'll find time to look me up.
I should be glad to, sir.
I will mention your name to Herr Himmler. I'm sure he'd like to meet you.
Thank you, sir. I look forward to that.
Betty, I've heard what's happened.
Not now, Will.
You've done the right thing, there's no doubt about
For
that.
God's sake, be quiet.
I only wanted to tell you it'll be all right.
Leave me alone! Get out! Get out!
Now, sir, may I suggest that if we were to move the site of the emplacement from there over to here, we would have exactly the same field of fire, and that building could be left intact.
I don't know why the hell I listened to you, Richter.
Herr General, I don't know who or what we may have to bombard from this emplacement, but I do know that I shall be bombarded with protests if we blow up that building to make way for a gun.
Why take any notice?
With respect, sir, unless the destruction of their buildings is a military necessity, why not?
Very well. This is a perfectly good place for it. See to it.
But, Herr General...
See to it.
There goes the master race. I heard today that my comrades have surrounded their 6th Army at Stalingrad. They'll bomb them, shell them, freeze them and starve them.
That doesn't help us much. Not here.
It helps me, comrade.
All right. You can fill it in now. You heard? Fill it in.
Fill it in? What have we been digging it for?
Oh, you scrub! You do as you're damn well told. Fill it in. You lazy swine.
Leave it alone!
What? Scum.
I'll kill you for this, Kamarowski. Run for it, friend!
Ah!
This authority will enable you to order drugs direct from this firm in Hamburg. Does that satisfy you?
I have no complaints about that, thank you, Major.
You'll have to pay in sterling or French francs, of course. Occupation marks will not do.
Oh, that can be arranged.
Good. Well, let's just hope the RAF doesn't bomb these peaceful manufacturers of life-saving drugs.
I never thought of that. Is it true that the RAF has been rather active over Germany in recent months?
You hear the news?
With no radio? No. I hear rumours, that's all.
Such as?
Oh, the Americans have landed in North Africa. The British have pushed Rommel back into Tunisia. The Russians have surrounded one of your armies in Stalingrad. Is there any truth in them, Major?
We've had a few setbacks. That's only to be expected. After all, you British have had nothing but setbacks ever since the war began.
Yes, we do seem to lose every battle but the last. Unfortunate habit for us as well as for our enemies, I suppose.
The war is a long way yet from being won or lost.
How long, Major?
Good morning, Doctor. I have some good news for you. I've just rescued one of your buildings from destruction.
At Cherbourg?
That's right.
Well, how did you manage it?
I suggested an alternative site for the gun emplacement. The Herr General actually listened. I think that deserves a drink, Ernst, don't you?
Why not?
You join us, Doctor. A glass of schnapps?
This is the first time you've offered me a drink in 2.5 years.
My victories over General Miller are much harder to achieve than yours over me, Doctor. And therefore call for celebration.
Well, as I've had rather successful morning here, I'm only too happy to join you.
Pleased to hear it. Now,
Thank you.
what should we drink to?
The next 2.5 years?
You're not looking forward to that, surely?
No.
Well, neither am I. Prost.
Prost. Cheers.
No, please. Please, the Germans are after me. Do not be frightened. I mean you no harm.
Are you all right? I mean, are you hurt?
Please. Please.
Come on. Sit down. Come on, Mum and Dad will be...
Better keep away.
What's wrong with you?
I stink. Do you not notice? I'm ashamed to enter a decent house in such a filthy state.
You're one of those tort workers.
They treat us like animals. Worse. So please excuse me.
You look half starved. Would you like a bowl of soup? There's some ready.
Please. You're very kind.
Where'd you come from?
Moscow.
Oh, you're Russian.
I'm very Russian. My name is Kirill Nikolaevich Komorowski. And yours?
Jenny. Jenny Glover. You speak very good English.
I was a student of English at Moscow University until the Germans invaded my country. I was a reservist in the Red Army, a corporal. Then I was called up. A year ago, I was taken prisoner only a few miles from my home. Excuse me, I am very hungry.
So they brought you here as a prisoner of war?
Not as a prisoner of war, as a slave.
That's terrible.
They are very terrible people.
But they've not been too bad to us. They've been quite decent and polite on the whole.
They still respect the English, but only the English, no other people.
What will they do if they catch you?
They have a place where they deal with us. It is called paradise. A German joke, perhaps.
What happens there?
If you're very lucky, you're beaten to death.
Do you know anything about this man?
He was taken prisoner outside Moscow, Herr Oberleutnant. He is known as a troublemaker, a dedicated Bolshevik.
Most of them are, aren't they?
Most of them were just ignorant peasants, but this one is well educated, and he is a Communist Party member.
And yet he's only a corporal. That's unusual. Red Army political officers, for example, have at least the rank of colonel.
We must ask him why, when we catch him.
You must let me question him, Kluger.
Ah, you speak Russian.
No? Do you?
Apparently this man can speak German and English and French. As I said, Herr Oberleutnant, he is well educated for a Russian.
Then I can talk to him. You are searching for him, Kluger?
We'll turn over a few likely houses in the immediate area. I don't have the men to search the whole island.
You need any help?
Thank you, no. He can't have gone far, and possibly we might hear something.
So might I. What happened to the guard?
He's in hospital.
I don't like Bolsheviks, Belner. This one must not get away.
Would you like some more?
Go on. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Are you feeling all right, son?
I've not eaten a proper meal for so long. I think maybe
He's feverish.
I'll be all right.
I think you better lie down.
I'll go and fix him up a safe place in the barn.
You can't put him out there. He's not well.
But the Germans are looking for him.
So? Do we put a sick, starving man out in this weather?
You're right. We can't do that.
I do not want to get you into trouble.
You let us worry about that. Jenny, you take this young man up to Tommy's room, make up the bed, let him lie down for a while.
Yes, Mum. Come on, Kirill, this way.
Alice, he can't stay here. It's too dangerous.
You heard him say what they do to him?
Yes.
Huh? Don't you believe him?
No, I believe him. If they catch him here, they'll still do it. And what they do to us.
Only a lad. Same age as our Tommy was.
I knew you were thinking about Tom.
Never stopped thinking about him. If he'd survived, French people would have helped him. That's what I mean.
Yes, I think they would.
Well, then we should help this poor boy.
Just a minute. Shh. What? I've got it. Alvaledel. The Russians are continuing to make progress, particularly to the southwest of Stalingrad. Allied air forces have made extensive bombing raids on Axis ports and bases in the central Mediterranean. 2 Japanese destroyers hit and set on fire by flying fortresses.
Oh, that's very good news.
Blast! Lost it.
Things are looking up. Do you think we shall open the second front soon?
Well, not in the winter, maybe in the spring.
The Russians have been clamouring for a second front for months now. They seem to be doing all right without one.
Yeah, that must worry the Germans.
You think so?
Nearly got it that time. Yes, of course they're worried.
Good. About time.
Actually, they were quite nice to me this morning. Richter actually gave me a drink.
Well, I shouldn't let that out.
Do you think I'm naive?
Yes.
Hello, yes, Dr. Martell. Ah. Oh, what's the trouble? Yes, I'm sorry. Well, Mrs. Glover, I can probably be there in about an hour. Yes, we'd be ever so grateful. All right. About an hour then. Bye-bye.
Which Mrs. Glover was that?
Alice Glover.
The one whose son's just been killed in the air force?
Yes.
Poor woman. What's the matter with her?
Well?
I said, what's the matter with her?
Oh, it's not her, no. It's somebody staying with her has been taken ill or something.
The chicken's fed, Dad. Oh, we got 2 eggs.
Well, only 2. They're not worth their feed.
Is Dr. Martell still upstairs?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Dad.
What for?
Well, I feel I'm responsible for all this trouble.
Oh, don't be silly, girl. You had to invite him in, and we've got to find a place for him, that's all. How is he, Doctor?
Well, let's just say the brutes responsible for his condition ought to be shot. He has a mass of bruises from beatings, he tells me. I think he has 2 cracked ribs, and he certainly has pneumonia. He's also severely undernourished, but he is young, and I think he should pull through. I'm putting him on sulfanilamide, which should knock out the pneumonia in a few days.
A few days?
Yes. Yes, I don't know how hard the felt polyps are looking for him at the moment. On my way here, I saw them surrounding a house above Petit Port.
That's over a mile away.
Yes. So one doesn't know how long it might be before they get here, but one can never be too sure.
Well, there is a place I could hide him in an emergency.
Where?
Right, in the chimney. There's an iron plate that goes across now. It blocks off the chimney. If you slide it back, there's 2 ledges there. It's big enough for somebody to stand on. It's where I keep my wireless.
You can't stick a sick man up a chimney.
You might have to, Mrs. Glover. Otherwise, he'll end up dead, and you'll end up in a French jail. We're all running the same risks, you know.
It's nothing compared to what our Tommy risked and lost.
And we're saving a life.
Yes, you certainly are, Dan. The way that young man has been treated, it's barbaric.
And he's just one of hundreds of the poor devils on this island.
Oh, yes, we're very privileged and complacent and blind. Thanks, Jenny. No, if the tot workers were dogs or horses, there'd have been a public outcry before now. I'm going to see if I can't try to do something about it. In the meantime, I'll be back to see how he is tomorrow.
We searched every house and outbuilding in the immediate area. 53 houses in all. And we've found nothing. That has taken 5 days. With the men at my disposal, it would take a whole year to search the entire island. So, Fellner.
You want information, Herr Oberleutnant?
Good information. I only have 2 or 3 men with real detective police experience. You're one of them. I'm counting on you, Fellner.
The trouble with being a detective in the army, Herr Oberleutnant, is,
You want to buy information?
Oh, a bit here, a bit there, perhaps. But I need to spend money in public houses. They're very good places to pick up information, but I get no allowance for this.
You're expected to command information, Fellner.
That is army style, Herr Oberleutnant, not mine, not yours. You know army style doesn't work.
All right. I'll get you 100 marks from petty cash. But you will account for every penny of it.
Still hunting the Bolshevik, Kluger?
Don't worry, we'll find him.
I think you need some assistance. I will organize it for you.
Fellner, find this man for me, huh?
Oh, so you mean to say you are indifferent to the plight of these wretched people, Colonel?
Alas, Doctor, it is not my province.
Yes, but you see them all over the island in the same way that we do. Dressed all in rags, no proper boots. I've even seen them shuffling about, some of them with bits of motor car tar tied to their feet with pieces of string. They get beaten, they get starved. We wouldn't treat dogs like that, Colonel. It's barbaric.
I'm prepared to listen to complaints on behalf of your own people, but the tote workers are not my concern. Neither are they yours.
They're all criminals, Dr. Martel.
They are perfectly ordinary people from all over Europe who have been forced into slave labor.
They have all committed offenses.
What?
We make them work, rather than keep them idle in prison.
And now that is perfectly untrue, and you know it. Some of them were even Russian prisoners. Is that how you treat prisoners of war?
The Soviets, Doctor, have not signed the Geneva Convention.
Oh, so that makes it all right, does it?
May one ask what has prompted this sudden concern?
Sudden concern? This is a matter for continuing concern.
Unfortunately, it is not a matter that we may discuss, especially at this time.
Oh, for goodness sake, Colonel, these people come to us begging us for our food at any time.
I meant because now is inopportune. We are awaiting the arrival of the Commander-in-Chief.
Which event does not greatly abate their hunger.
You are not allowed to give them food, Doctor. Tell them so.
Oh, for God's sake, we've given them food. I've given them food. I've even given them medical treatment because they get none of it in your camps.
Then I advise you not to do it again.
Thank you. If I needed proof of what this war is being fought for, I have it now.
And if I needed proof, Doctor, of British hypocrisy and humbug, I have it now too. You weep your crocodile tears over the dregs of Europe while your bombing planes are butchering men and
How dare you!
children. If you please!
Doctor, there is nothing but you or I can do about the tote workers. Come in. Hey, General.
Morning, Burst. Ready to go?
General.
I believe you know Dr. Martel, sir, the Emergency Controlling Committee.
Yes, I do. Good morning, Doctor.
The doctor was just leaving.
I would like to take this opportunity to speak to the General.
I think not, Doctor.
What is it you wish to say, Doctor?
I'd like to protest about the harsh, disgraceful treatment given to the tote workers.
Protest?
Yes.
As I understand it, you were appointed on behalf of the British citizens of Guernsey.
Yes, that is strictly true,
The workers
General.
of the organisation Tote are not British citizens and therefore clearly not your concern.
But they are human beings.
Indeed. Indeed. One of these same human beings last week assaulted his guard. The man died this morning. And you wish to bleat to me about the Tote workers? They are lazy criminal scum.
Looking for Germans. You know, I've been practicing. From here I can get into the fireplace in only 9 seconds. From my room it takes me only 30 seconds. Not bad, eh?
Oh, very good.
I've read all those books.
Well, you got them yesterday.
I read very quickly. Could you get me some more, Jenny? I have a list here.
For whom the bell tolls. I think I've heard of that one. Are these two French?
Yes. They must have French books in Guernsey libraries.
Oh, yeah. Well, not that I can read it. You do.
Yes. I speak French and German.
Oh, you must be very clever.
Yes, but where has it got me? A slave labour camp.
Are you free now?
Only inside this house.
Do you mind being shut in here?
It's wonderful. And I am very grateful.
You might have to stay for a long time. I don't suppose you'd like that.
I wouldn't mind. You're good, kind people.
I like having you here. Makes us feel as though we're doing something. There's not a lot we can do here, you know.
No. Particularly when the Germans are nice to you.
We can't help that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny. I have offended you? Please. Please. Forgive me.
That's all right. You've had a terrible time. We haven't.
Do you know, you are the first girl that I have spoken to for more than a year.
I don't see many boys. Nearly all the ones I know went to England when the Germans came.
Who's got some mackerel?
Lucky we raised so much of our own food, Carol.
Yes, I am very lucky.
I wouldn't talk too soon if I were you, son.
Why worry the lad, Dan?
Oh, he's got to be told.
Well, what is it, Mr. Glover?
The guard that you hit, he died.
He died?
Well, it's not very Christian to rejoice at another man's death.
Well, it's one cruel fascist the less, Mr. Glover.
Yes. Well, maybe. The Germans are out looking for you in force now.
I will go somewhere else.
No!
We'll look after you, son.
And the Feldpolizei will take this area, and the 319 Regiment troops this area here.
I do not have much faith in the army's ability to search a house properly.
General Muller insists on helping us, Filner. General Muller is not best pleased that we've not yet found the man.
But why waste resources like this? The man cannot get away.
If General Muller details 100 men to help with the search, then who am I to complain? Besides, they may even find him.
These army methods. Always a show of force. Lots of bully boys looking busy and thinking they are efficient. They should try using their brains. Now, on second thoughts, that might really land them in trouble.
Have you been using your brains, Fellner?
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant.
And spending my money, no doubt.
I have expended some 65 marks of it so far.
65 marks? Are you telling me you've got through 65 marks of my petty cash? You'd better have something good to show for it.
Not all of it was spent in pubs and bars, Herr Oberleutnant, and I have been keeping accounts. 35 marks of it went on food for tot workers.
Did it?
If you want to get information from them, the quickest way of doing it is with a quarter pound of butter, a bag of potatoes. Offer one of them a small joint of meat, and he would sell you his grandmother. Should one need his grandmother, of course. I did, however, learn a great deal about Kamarowski.
Did you learn where to find him?
I learned, for example, that his father is a general in the Russian army. This General Kamarowski commands an armored corps in southern Russia, which has been in action lately around Stalingrad.
Who else knows about this?
Just you, me, and a couple of his Russian pals.
Let's keep it like that, huh? Above all, don't tell the Sturmbannführer.
Of course not. After all, it was our petty cash that bought that titbit.
Are you hinting you want more money?
Oh, that's up to you.
Oh, Fellner. When I was an inspector in Hamburg, I heard all about you Berlin detectives. You made more money in 1 month in bribes than I made honestly in a year.
That is a gross exaggeration, Herr Oberleutnant.
But you're feeling the pinch, huh?
Well, I must admit that army service is a financial embarrassment.
Serves you right. Now, what good ideas have you got for finding this Kamarowski?
Well, I know a lot about him. He's intelligent. He reads books when he can get them. He likes girls when he can get them. He will be talked about.
All right. You're a good detective, Phil. Find this man for me. For me, you understand? You won't regret it.
I think we understand each other, Herr Oberleutnant.
Fellner, if you want me later in the day, I'll be with the search parties. Probably at the house of Peter Porteous.
Is this search going on much longer, Mr. Reinecker? I do need some privacy to examine my patient, Mrs. Porteous.
It should be over very soon. My apologies for inconveniencing you, Frau Porteous.
I presume you're looking for this escaped tote worker.
You know something about him, Herr Porteous?
No more than you do. May I answer the door?
Certainly.
Oh, no.
Mrs. Porteous, I'm afraid that we must search your house.
Your left hand appears not to know what your right hand is doing. Or is it the other way round?
Your men are searching these premises, Sturmbannführer?
They are.
The search is completed, Herr Sturmbannführer. We have found nothing.
All the men in outside?
Yes, Herr Sturmbannführer.
These searches are being coordinated by the Feldpolizei, Sturmbannführer. You should have informed me.
There has been some mistake, Oberleutnant. I'm sorry. However, the job has been done most thoroughly. Frau Porteous.
Does German efficiency now require you to make a further search, Mr. Kluger?
It would not be necessary, Herr Doctor.
It's lovely to see them making such fools of themselves.
Yeah, they're looking in the wrong place by at least 4 miles.
Thank you.
Back already? I'm borrowing them for a friend who's staying. He reads very quickly.
Why don't you get him to join?
I'll suggest that to him. Oh, he gave me a list of books he wants.
For Whom the Bell Tolls. We did have a copy. Germans confiscated it. Think we've got these 2 French ones. Your friend certainly has good literary taste.
Yes. Who's that man?
He's been here for hours. He came in smelling of drink.
He was staring at me.
Take no notice of him. There we are. Now, shall I keep the list? Then I can put aside 3 more for you for next time.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you very much, Miss Jones. Bye.
Goodbye, Jenny.
That list, I would like to see it, please.
Why? Who are you?
Felt Gendarmerie. The list, please. That young lady. I would like her name and address.
I don't know her address.
You'll find it on her library tickets, Fräulein.
I'm not quite sure what your complaint is, Otto.
He made a fool of me, Albert.
I shall make it plain to Reinecker that he's to carry out no further searches without first informing you, all right?
Thank you, sir.
How's your own search progressing?
My Feldwebel tells me he's got some sort of lead on him.
Good, good.
He's also found something out about Kamarowski, which I think you ought to know.
Oh, what's that?
His father commands a Soviet armored corps. General Kamarowski.
Does he indeed? Well, that makes Kamarowski a very important prisoner. Are our own intelligence people not aware of this?
It seems not, Herr Oberst. The only people who know about it are you and me and Feldwebel Fellner.
Mustn't get too fond of him.
I'm not.
He's nice looking and clever. That's not everything.
What do you mean?
Well, he's not like us, Jenny. He's a communist and an atheist.
Oh, don't blame him.
Jenny.
When you think why he's had to suffer, well, his people are suffering.
But that's not the point, love.
It is! Oh, you don't understand him one bit, or me.
I think we do, love.
Where's the lad?
He's upstairs reading.
Oh, what's the matter with her?
I've been having a talk with her.
Oh.
Well, you asked me to.
Well, it doesn't seem to have done much good, does it? Hello? Yes? Yeah. Yes, I understand. Thank you for letting me know. Miss Jones, the librarian. A German policeman's been asking after Jenny.
Hello, Dr. Martell's house.
Can I speak to the doctor, please?
I'm sorry he's not in at the moment, but he won't be very long. Can I tell him anything?
Will you tell him Dan Glover rang?
Mm-hmm.
We've got an emergency here. You'll know what I mean.
An emergency? Yes, I'll make sure that he knows just as soon as he gets in.
I think some urgent action is required.
I'm sure he will understand, Mr. Glover. Goodbye.
I found these library books in a bedroom. Not your room, not your parents'. So, where is your visitor?
We haven't got a visitor.
You told the librarian you had a friend staying.
I don't remember saying that.
I remember you saying it. Right, down for me in my little book. For whom the bell tolls.
What?
Write the words, Fräulein. You obviously didn't write this library list, did you? Who did?
Who wrote the list, Fräulein? Well, we haven't searched this room yet, have we?
There's a metal cover here.
Yeah, it seals out the draft.
Open it.
Yours, Mr. Glover?
Yes.
It's illegal.
The battery's been dead long since.
It's still illegal. You're under arrest.
Where is your visitor?
Leave her alone! Alice! I can see there's no one else here. Why can't you leave her alone?
Alice!
You killed my son and you're taking my husband. Why can't you leave her alone?
You are also under arrest. Take them away. You too, Feldwebel.
Okay, I'll belong.
Leave us, please. Now, Fräulein, if you told us, it could help your parents. So be it.
It's all right, Mother. It's only Dr. Martell.
I've been teaching Kirill to play gin rummy. He's beating me at it.
Yes, where is he?
He went upstairs. What shall I call him?
Please.
Kirill!
He's a very talented young man.
Really?
Ah, Dr. Martell.
Dan and Alice Glover were arrested last night.
That's terrible. It's because of me.
No, don't blame yourself. It's just bad luck, that's all.
And Jenny, what of her?
Oh, she's all right. She's with her aunt.
What now?
Not really much alternative, is it?
Kirill has to stay here.
But you said one night.
Yes, I do know that. That was while the Glover's house was being searched. But now, look, you've been searched already. I don't think there's any chance at all of it happening
It's
again.
not the risk I'm worried about. I'm out on the farm all day. Mother's here on her
I
own.
can go perfectly well, thank you, Peter.
All right.
I'm sorry to be such a nuisance. To be endangering good people.
You're not a nuisance. You're an Allied soldier, and it's our duty to help you. It's my pleasure. Your deal, Kirill.
The Glovers still claim to know nothing about any visitor. I'm sure they were hiding him.
It's him I want, Fellner, not the Glovers. We can deal with them anytime. I want a 24-hour surveillance put on that girl, until further notice. She might try to contact him, or he might try to contact her. See to it!
Herr Leutnant.
The Germans won't let me see them.
That's awful.
I don't know what's happening to them.
You could speak to Richter, Philip, couldn't you?
Yes, of course.
Try to make him confess to hiding Kirill.
Oh, no, your parents aren't going to confess to anything. You know them, Jenny.
You don't know what the Germans might do to them.
If the Germans were going to try to force a confession out of them, they'd have done it by now, and I wouldn't be here. I'd be in jail along with them.
Is Kirill safe now?
Yes, reasonably so.
Where is he?
I think it's better you don't know that.
Will you be seeing him soon?
I expect so.
Can you give him this letter for me?
Jenny, I really think it's going to be better for you to forget that
Please,
young man.
Dr. Martell.
It can't do any harm, Philip, surely.
All right. And I'll certainly find out what I can about your parents.
Thank you, Dr. Martell. Goodbye, Mrs. Martell. Goodbye, Jim.
Poor girl, she's fallen for the young man.
Yes, well, let's just hope it's not mutual. There's quite enough trouble as it is.
Was it bad news, Kirill?
She's unhappy, that's all.
And at that age, one can be very, very unhappy.
Yes.
You must forget her, Kirill. For her sake.
Yes.
How old are you? 24?
And 1 month.
Oh, what a terrible start to life you've had.
I'm lucky, Mrs. Proteus. I have survived.
What'll happen to you now, I wonder?
I must get back to Russia somehow or
No,
other.
that's impossible.
I just cannot sit the war out here. It's asking too much of you people.
It's asking nothing.
No. We're doing damn all.
I don't see how supper's getting on.
I'll give you a hand in a minute.
Oh, thanks, Peter.
Well, it's not the peak of perfection, but it won't spoil your palate either.
I never criticize anything there is to eat or drink.
No, I don't suppose you do. Cheers.
Peter, how do I escape from here? To England, perhaps?
Direct to England? Not a chance. I've tried it.
But there must be some way.
Dr. Martell gave you some false papers, didn't he?
Yes. I am a Frenchman now.
Well, in that case, your only hope will be to smuggle yourself aboard one of the supply ships for France. Then, take your chance with the French resistance.
How do I get on the ship?
Well, there is a bar down by the harbour where such things can sometimes be arranged.
Can you take me there?
Yes, but not yet. You're too hot.
I must get away! They are bound to catch me if I stay.
It's too dangerous at the moment.
It will be risky for you.
Yes, of course. The Germans have already jailed me once. Next time.
I understand.
But there is also my mother to consider.
Tell me, where is St. Anne?
About a mile up the road. Why, do you know someone there?
What time is the...
Supper, such as it is ready for us.
Then we are ready for it.
Kirill? He's not here.
Oh! Stop! Hey, you! Halt!
This is very good. It looks genuine. Not even a forgery. Where did you get it? You are not Michel Clement, electrician. You are Kamarovsky. We have your tote organization identity card here now. Tell me, who gave you these papers? And where have you been hiding for the last 3 weeks?
Very well. I am K.N. Kamarovsky, Corporal, 103rd Tank Regiment, and my number is 1109238. I am a prisoner of war, and that is all I'm obliged to tell you.
You are not a prisoner of war. You're a Bolshevik and a murderer. Now tell me, who gave you this card? Where did you get these clothes?
I have said all that I have to say.
You will answer my questions. Carry on, Feldwebel.
I found this. The damn fool's gone to see that girl.
Jenny, but she's with her aunt.
Yes, in St. Anne. That's where the idiot's gone. Says he'll be back by curfew.
How irresponsible. If he should be caught.
Let's just have to hope they believe those false papers.
And if they don't, what then?
Not if he talks. If they make him talk. I'd better warn the Martells.
Why the hell wasn't I told? That's a question, Fellner.
The orderly office had instructions to inform the Sturmbannführer if anyone was picked up.
But why him first? That's the question.
The Sturmbannführer ordered it.
Oh, it's intolerable. I won't stand for this damned interference all the time. Where is he?
Who?
Oh, come on!
We will discuss this matter alone, Noble Lieutenant. Because you are professionally chagrined, Oberleutnant, it does not excuse discourtesy, especially in front of an NCO.
I'm sorry, Sturmbannführer.
The prisoner Kamarovsky is being questioned.
By Feldwebel Lang?
Lang is a very persuasive interrogator. He gets results.
So I've heard.
I think he would certainly have got results with those people, Glover was their name, wasn't it? That you had so little success with.
I interrogate people according to the law. I do not beat confessions out of them.
Such niceties in wartime are a luxury, Kluger. Can we afford them?
I can. And I always will. Now, if you please, I would like to see this man, Kamarovsky.
Very well. He's downstairs.
Thank you.
Get up! Get up!
Feldwebel! Lange! Open this door! What are you doing?
The prisoner Kamarovsky is being interrogated, Herr Oberleutnant.
Get the doctor, quick! Get the bloody doctor!
Why weren't you present at the interrogation? You're the officer in charge.
I leave these matters to my NCOs.
Why? To squeamish to supervise it in person?
I resent that, Herr Commandant.
And I resent this man's death, which is entirely your responsibility.
I'm quite prepared to shoulder that. I don't see what all the fuss is about. The man was only a tort worker.
Only a tort worker? Only a Negro, only a Jew. People the SS can murder with impunity.
I must protest at your attitude, Herr Commandant.
To whom? Reichsführer Himmler?
If needs be.
Well, I wish you would. I'm considering protesting to him myself. Kamarowski was a very important prisoner.
Indeed.
I'm sure the Reichsfuhrer will be delighted to know that you have beaten to death the son of a Russian commander.
Russian commander? I didn't know this. Why wasn't I told?
You amaze me. Does the SS need to be told?
The SS has been kept deliberately in ignorance of this matter.
Nevertheless, you contrived to withhold knowledge of this man's arrest from the Feldgendarmerie.
For several hours, Herr Commandant.
The offence appeared to have political overtones and was therefore a matter for the SS.
So it's political, is it? To resist having a tote guard ram your teeth down your throat with his rifle butt?
Had I received the cooperation to which I am entitled, Kluger, events might have taken a different course. As it is, more will be heard of your general attitude.
As to general attitudes, Herr
Thank you,
Sturmbannführer.
Lieutenant. Allow me to deal with this, please.
Herr Commandant.
If I were in your shoes, Reiniger, which God forbid, I would wish to maintain a more than discreet silence.
That is not possible.
Really? I rather think you may find it is. What effect might it have upon the Russians' treatment of our own prisoners if what befell General Kamarowski's son were to become known to them? Have you asked yourself that?
Herr Oberst, it is unlikely to become known to them.
And I hope you are right, Sturmbannführer. And so I'm sure does Her Command.
A rather pensive Reinecker. Have you given him something to think about?
I hope I have, Ernst. I sincerely hope I have. And now I need something to take away the taste. Prost.
Prost.
How far to General Muller's headquarters?
We're almost there, Herr Borg.
See? Afternoon teas. We are in a little part of England.
They are here, Herr General.
The whole business is a damn nuisance.
Fräulein Engel appears to be a rather attractive young woman.
I'm told that to get onto Dr. Goebbels' personal staff, it often helps to be so.
A pleasant way to see a war. As correspondent of a neutral newspaper escorted by a pretty girl.
Coming from Dr. Goebbels' office, that's not all she's likely to be, Rilke. Where's the Commandant tour booked for them to stay?
At the Hotel Normandy, Herr General.
I trust it's not expected that the Wehrmacht should foot the bill?
No, Herr General, the Ministry of Propaganda will pay.
So I should hope. Enter.
Herr Borg, Herr General.
General Müller, commanding the British Channel Islands.
Borg. Fräulein Engel, whom Dr. Goebbels has kindly loaned to me from the Ministry of Propaganda.
Fräulein?
The minister has asked me to make sure that Herr Borg gets every assistance in seeing what he should see.
What he should see?
Yes.
Herr Borg is a Swedish journalist and neutral. There are therefore limits to what he should see, however well disposed he is to our cause. Therefore, Fräulein, I shall decide what he should see.
Herr Borg is highly thought of in Berlin, Herr General.
I'm sure he is, otherwise he would not be here.
It was Herr Hitler himself who suggested I come to Guernsey. He's very proud of being master of the British Channel Islands.
You have met the Führer?
Oh, many times. A fascinating man.
You are very privileged.
That is exactly what I was trying to say, Herr General.
Quite so. Shall we sit? Now, Herr Borg, what can I do for you? I can show you some of the fortification work we're carrying out here.
Oh, thank you. That would be helpful. But what I'm most interested in is how the German authorities and the people of these islands work together. My articles are going to be about the political and social implications of the new order in Europe and how it is likely to develop once the war is won.
I am simply a military man, Herr Borg. Social and political problems do not concern me. I do my utmost to avoid them. I think the man for you is the Guernsey Commandant, Oberst Richter.
Dieter Richter?
You know him?
No, but I've heard he was stationed here. I believe he's married to Anna Richter, the translator.
Very possibly. Richter is something of an academic himself. You know Frau Richter?
Oh, yes. Swedish is one of her languages. She translates Strindberg into German. Frau Richter...
Yes?
Oh, it's nothing. Perhaps we could check in at our hotel and then meet Oberst Richter?
Certainly. Rilke.
Herr General?
My adjutant, Hauptmann Rilke, will escort you.
Oh, it's very kind of you.
My pleasure, sir.
If there is anything else I can do...
We shall certainly call on you, Herr General.
All right, you can do yourself up now.
What is it?
Shingles.
Shingles?
Yeah, it's a nervous disorder and a jolly painful one, too.
You're telling me.
Treatment for it is rest, stop worrying, and good food.
You mean I'm stuck with it?
Well, it'll go eventually. But, no, I'm afraid there isn't much I can do about it.
That's marvellous.
Your job getting you down, Jack.
What do you think? Going on all around me is the greatest story of my lifetime. All I can publish is lying propaganda supplied by the Germans. Makes me feel...
Desperately frustrated, obviously.
And more than that.
Yeah, I don't know what to advise.
Oh, don't worry, I'm doing something about it.
Like what?
You seen this?
Guns?
The Guernsey Underground News Service.
Is this your work?
Oh, me and a few others. I take down the 9 o'clock news in shorthand, then we all get to work on our typewriters, and by 9 the following morning we've knocked out some 50 copies ready for distribution.
It's a noble effort, but is it worth it?
Well, certainly. Telling people the truth. It's my job.
But you're running one hell of a risk.
I don't give a damn about that.
What's more, you put yourself under such stress that you've made yourself ill.
Am I?
Yes, you are. You know you are.
Yes, it is a strain, but it's something I must do.
I don't agree.
And aren't you interested in how the war's going?
Well, yes, of course I am, but you're not the only one who didn't hand in their wireless sets. News gets around pretty fast.
We help it get around.
It's not worth it.
It is to me.
You're risking too much for too little, and you're damaging your health into the bargain. Give it up, Jack. That's my advice to you as your doctor and as a friend. In your state of health, you wouldn't survive 6 months in a German prison, let alone the 2 years, which is the least you'd get.
I don't care if you think it's a futile gesture. I'm doing my job, and I'll go on doing it. If I didn't, I'd die of boredom. So to hell with the German jail.
Jack, since you're obviously determined to ignore my advice, I have here a story for your paper.
We don't put out local news, only the war news from the BBC.
Have you heard of the rumours from Alderney?
Well, the beatings and killings and so on of the workers there, yes, but only rumours.
I have here a breakdown of deaths reported by the Tote Organisation on Alderney for the 3 months ending December this year. I had it in mind to show it to the Red Cross next time they visited us.
Where'd you get all this?
Extra copy was made by a civilian employee. More than that, I'm not prepared to say.
It is completely authentic, is it?
Yes, I'm sure it is. The Germans are very meticulous. See here? Deaths of occupation forces, 0. Deaths of tote workers, 158.
Can I have this?
No, I'm afraid not.
Right, I'll take notes. 2 Dutchmen, 17 Poles, 114 Russians.
64 of them were under 21. 10 of them were only 17 and 8 were only 16.
What will you tell this Swedish fellow, Peter?
Depends upon the kind of thing he asks.
You'll have to be careful.
What do you think I might say?
I meant he'll be interested in the new order as applied to the Channel Islands, that sort of thing.
Ah, yes, a new order. It's a fine politician's phrase. What we have here is a good old-fashioned military occupation. Or is that what you meant?
Yes, it is. News for you from home. I haven't had a letter for over a month.
It's from my wife's younger brother. A cross we both have to bear. You know, he never writes unless he wants something. Recommendation for a job he's totally incapable of performing. Or more usually, a plaintive demand for financial help. I'll open it after dinner, by which time I shall have fortified myself. So, Ernst, what am I to tell this journalist? That we're running here an occupation we can be proud of?
I should think that's just what Dr. Goebbels wants him to hear.
And then to report in the press of the neutral world, eh?
What there is left of it.
Well, why not? We have nothing to be ashamed of. Let him see the other side of the coin.
You mean the British?
Well, of course. He's certain to get a good story.
Well, it depends on who he talks to. After all, this is plainly a propaganda exercise.
And you think our British friends might spoil it,
Well, they certainly wouldn't help it.
Then we must give him all the assistance we can.
Now, you must be important, Mr. Borg, for I'm not allowed to serve spirits except to Germans in uniform.
Oh. Who said that you could to me?
Well, the manager got his instructions from the commandator.
They think of everything. When does this bar get busy?
Sure, it's early yet. We start getting busy round about 6:30.
What sort of clientele do you have?
Well, it's mostly organisation tote officers, you know. Civil engineers and the like.
Working on the fortifications?
That's right. Oh, and contractors, too. Mostly from the cement companies. They're using thousands of tons of the stuff here, and the money they're making. Oh, well, there's nothing like a war for getting rich quick, Mr. Borg.
That's true. Do you get many locals in here?
Well, no, 1 or 2, but mostly they avoid the places where there's a lot of Germans.
You're not a local.
Me? With a name like Paddy Burke? No, sure, I'm an Irishman. I'm from the Republic. That makes me a neutral like yourself.
So you don't like the Germans?
Well, they're all right, I mean. They're human like the rest of us.
And the British?
They're much the same. There's not much difference between the two. They both seem to enjoy pushing people around.
There's a difference in degree, of course. The Germans have been pushing Europe around for only 2 years or so. The British have been pushing the whole world around for 2 centuries?
Or, well, now, they pushed the Irish around for a great deal longer than that, and much good it did to them.
I think the British could give lessons to the Germans in arrogance.
Oh, you're right there. Still, I've a few good friends among them.
Why did you not go back to Ireland?
Well, there's nothing much for me to go back to. Besides, I'm quite happy here.
Really?
Oh, sure. Now, being a neutral helps. Now, I don't have to tell you that, do I? So I can do a little bit of business here and there. You know, give a helping hand both sides, you see what I mean?
Not exactly.
Well, you know, a little bit of food, a little bit of drink, anything is short. Oh, I make a bob or two, but it's nothing like the same end.
You deal with all kind of people, I suppose.
Oh, sure. I know everybody on this island is worth knowing, and they all know me. They don't all approve of me, mind you, but they always talk to me.
I'd like to meet some of the islanders, just to chat over a drink.
Oh, that's very civil of you, Mr. Borg. Well, sure, I can fix that for you. Now, who would you like to start with?
I'm the Berlin correspondent of the Stockholm Nya Svenska Pressen. Do you know any journalists?
Well, there's Jack Foster. Now, he's a very good friend of mine.
Could you get him along here?
Sure. How about tonight?
No, we're dining with the commandant. Tomorrow sometime?
No trouble.
Tell him I'm in the market for a bit of research, and I'll pay him for it.
He'll be here.
I got you cognac. Skål.
This journalist, what do you hope to learn from him?
What the British feel about the new order?
I think I should be present when you interview him.
No.
Why not?
Because he won't talk freely in front of you.
I will not have him feed you British propaganda. I will be there.
When I'm fed propaganda, I like to vary the diet. Some indigestible German, some stodgy British.
I do not think that is funny.
You're here to help me, not to hinder me, remember? I shall see him. Alone.
It is time we saw a burst, Richter.
As it has been for 15 minutes. Your perfume, my dear Trudy, is absolutely stunning. Come.
Hello, Paddy.
Oh, hello there, Mr. Porteous. And how are you today?
As well as can be expected, Paddy.
Well now. Didn't somebody say the war is long periods of boredom interspersed with occasional moments of excitement?
Well, I don't agree. It's all boredom here. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. I got your paper for you.
Thanks.
Berlin took a beating last night.
I'll read all about it when I get home.
I'm surprised you don't have a wireless, Mr. Porteous.
I get searched about once a month. That's why not. I've got some vegetables outside. Do you want to give me a hand?
Sure thing.
Oh, and a dozen eggs for you.
A dozen now? Well, here's me quid pro quo.
Thank you. I should like to meet some of your opposite numbers on the Civilian Controlling Committee.
I'm sure my Friedel can arrange that.
I should like to veto that proposal.
Really, Fräulein? May I ask why?
At the Ministry of Propaganda, we are not running a complaint service.
Why should you be afraid of complaints if, as you say, you're running a model occupation?
We are at war with the British. Do you really expect us to let the enemy air their views?
Either they are the enemy or they are, as you tell me, people that you have a good relationship with. You can't have it both ways.
As a matter of fact, Herr Borg, I can.
Oh, then I might as well pack up now and go back to Berlin.
Oh, come, you could write an excellent story on German achievements in Guernsey. I'm sure that's what Dr. Goebbels had in mind.
If Goebbels had that in mind, he would not have sent me. He would have sent some German hack instead, and there were plenty of them around. No, the doctor wants an authoritative report, Major, that would carry some weight outside Germany.
I understand that perfectly, but...
But I need to see the whole picture, Herr Major, not just the little bits you want me to see. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time and my reputation.
Reporting slanders about the German Reich won't enhance your reputation.
Trudy, I still can't tell the difference between slander and the truth.
Perhaps we can discuss it further after dinner. General Miller tells me you're acquainted with my wife, Herr Borg.
She occasionally does translations for me.
I haven't seen her now for almost a year.
May I ask, Have you heard from her recently?
I'm afraid she's a very poor correspondent, at least as far as I'm concerned. Too busy with Strindberg, perhaps.
Perhaps not, at present.
Fräulein Inge, my afraid I will see you to the mess.
It'll be an honor, Fräulein.
Thank you.
Is Anna in some kind of trouble, then?
Last week she was arrested by the Gestapo.
Your wife's a fool, Richter.
Outspoken, sir. Indiscreet, yes, but a fool, no.
A bomb falls near the Führer's bunker at the Chancery, and she says, "Pity it missed."
A sentiment echoed, I believe, sir, by several high-ranking officers in the Wehrmacht.
I am not one of them, Oberst, and it's damn silly of you to suggest that there are any.
Herr General, she is my wife. She is in serious trouble. I must be there to stand by her.
Your brother-in-law is in Berlin. Let him deal with it.
My wife's brother, sir, is an ineffectual and useless ass. He hasn't even got a job at the moment. He's quite incapable of dealing with the Gestapo.
And you think that you can?
I'm a senior officer in the Wehrmacht, sir.
With a foolish wife. A senior officer who will now probably get no further promotion. Keep out of this, man.
Herr General, I must go to Berlin.
I am not going to allow an officer under my command to go to Berlin to cause trouble with the Gestapo. It would be quite fruitless and there might be repercussions. I will not have it, Richter. I'm sorry about your wife, but she sounds quite capable of fending for herself. It is for the best.
Best for whom, sir?
Just a minute. I'm told that you are allowing this Swede to talk to the British.
That is so, Herr General.
Is that a prudent thing to do?
Berlin trusts him, sir. Why shouldn't we?
Why the hell should we? He's not German.
Well, because if we do not, sir, he threatens to return to Berlin immediately, and I can't think that Dr. Goebbels would approve of that. However, sir, if you disagree, I can always cancel your arrangements.
It's well you have the place yourself, else they'd all be after the brandy.
Newspaper men drink too much.
Ah, well, miss, if you don't mind me saying so. At least the brandy is from the grape, but I'm none too sure this coffee has been anywhere near the bean. Did you not change your mind?
No.
Ah, well, now, don't you be saying I didn't warn you.
Well, what did you think of us?
It was a very pleasant evening. Good dinner, pretty girl for company. What more could one ask?
You know what I mean, Nils.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean.
Well?
Decent, honourable men, carrying out their appointed duties responsibly, fairly.
Good.
That's certainly how they look at it, anyway.
You don't?
Oh, I'm prepared to see it like that. I just wonder if the British here look at it that way.
We are not concealing anything from you. We're not lying to you.
No. But I still like to do my own research, and I'm grateful to Oberst Richter for arranging it.
I think Oberst Richter should behave with circumspection.
I thought him most circumspect. Because of his wife, you mean?
Yes. He's right, this coffee is disgusting. You're going to see this Dr. Martel this morning.
I am. And alone.
Well, in that case, I shall see you here later.
And I shall look forward to that.
Now, that's a fine-looking woman you have there, Mr. Ward, if you don't mind me saying so.
No, I don't mind you saying. Yes, I have.
Now, here's something you might care to look at. That journalist friend of mine, Mr. Jack Foster, he helps to bring it out. Now, will you let me have it back when you're done with it? Or, it's best you don't look at it here.
See what you mean.
I thought you'd like to see it.
He simply won't have it. Says it will stir up trouble with the Gestapo.
He's possibly right, Dieter.
Yes, but damn it, she needs help.
But what could you do?
Exert pressure in the right places.
You know those places?
There are some people at OK age who are kindly disposed towards me.
Dieter, I think you know as well as I do that Army High Command will not interfere in matters concerning Himmler's affairs.
Himmler?
She's not some unknown, unregarded Hausfrau, Dieter. It's inevitable that greater weight would be given to things she says.
You know, for a clever woman, she's a damn silly one. Her brother will accomplish nothing. What am I to do?
I think you may be worrying unduly.
Do you? Really?
Well, look at it. She's fairly well known for expressing her views about the party. And what she said really only adds up to a remark in scandalously bad taste.
Scandalously?
Yes.
It's hardly treason, though, is it?
But it's pretty bad, considering who said what about whom.
So?
So, she'll be wrapped over the knuckles. Possibly lose her job at the university.
That will be a great blow.
Well, honestly, there's little you can do about it, either from there or here. And I do see Müller's point of view.
Yes. All the same, I am worried about her. Poor Anna.
Did Richter ask you to approach me?
Most certainly not.
Sounds vehement, Friedel.
I meant only that he would not himself seek help.
From me. Why does he not go to Berlin to intercede?
General Müller is not willing to give him leave.
The Herr General shows good judgment.
It would be a pity if a thoughtless indiscretion should become exaggerated.
Exaggerated? Yes, a pity.
Well?
Well, there is someone I know in Berlin. He might help. I will telephone him this evening.
You've been very helpful, Dr. Martel, in a guarded sort of way.
Yes, well, it can't surprise you, surely, that we don't feel completely free to talk.
Well, we don't feel free to do anything.
I quite understand. You've very kindly given me the facts of your situation. And now, could we talk off the record?
Off the record?
I won't quote you. Anything you tell me, I will use purely as background information to help me get things in perspective. I promise I won't give away anything that could be traced back to you, get you into any trouble with the German authorities.
Yes, well, of course, there are a number of things which I could tell you, but you wouldn't want to hear them, and your German friends certainly wouldn't let you print them.
My German friends? I have them, of course. But does not mean I'm pro-German any more than I'm pro-British. I'm a neutral.
Yes, but you do live in Berlin, don't you? You do hobnob with the Nazi leaders. They've obviously trusted you enough to let you come here.
I'm a journalist. I have an international reputation. I have contacts at the highest level. Of course I use them. It's my job.
And now you want to use us. I don't think I care for it.
Well, why not?
Because I don't trust you, Mr. Borg. I don't trust you because I don't understand you. I can no longer understand anyone being as neutral as you say you are.
Someone has to be the detached observer. How else does the truth get told in time of war?
The truth? Are you telling the truth about what the Nazis have done? Pillaging and enslaving the whole of Europe and calling it the New Order? Are you telling the truth about that?
I am investigating that in some depth right now.
Investigating in some... Bloody obvious, isn't it? They've imposed on Europe one of the worst tyrannies in history.
I see no evidence of tyranny here.
That's
Your own relationship with Colonel Richter, for example, seems to me perfectly civilized.
Yeah, well, Colonel Richter is a gentleman. He is doing a difficult job as decently as he possibly can.
And I see no resistance to the Germans in Guernsey. Both sides seem to tolerate each other very well.
Yes. Yes, how can we organize resistance in an island as tiny as this?
I agree, it would be hopeless.
Oh, yes, it is a depressing situation, Mr. Borg.
So why don't you just accept it and work wholeheartedly with the Germans?
Wholeheartedly. Now listen, we work with them because it would not be in our best interests not to do so. But what we live for is the day the Allies invade Europe and kick those bastards out. Please.
I won't report it, Mrs. Martel. We're off the record. And as to that, there is one particular thing I want to ask you.
Yes, well.
Do you know about the conditions on Alderney? Is it true 158 tote workers died there in 3 months?
Oh, I think that's been a trifle exaggerated. Who gave you this?
I don't reveal the source of my information, Dr. Martel, not to you, nor to anyone else. If that is true,
Of course, the Germans would not let me publish it, but I could publish it in Stockholm, where the rest of the world's press would pick it up.
Yes, that's true. What's more, I have proof.
You have no proof.
Can I see that proof?
This is the evidence on which that story was based. It's a list of deaths.
Official German records.
Yeah.
What have you done?
I won't find out. I'm satisfied.
What will you do now?
Alderney is not on my itinerary. I was informed it had been evacuated. There was only a German garrison remaining.
Yes, well, apart from the tote workers, of course, there are a couple of Alderney families over there and a few Guernsey men who've gone over to look after the sheep and the cattle.
Good, I'll make that point when I ask them to take me there.
Oh, they'll refuse, of course.
We'll see. I can be very persuasive.
Yes, you can, Mr. Borg. And so can they. They'll want to know why you're so interested.
I won't give you away, Mrs. Martin.
Well, if you do, it will be the end. For us, it will be.
Why, there's nothing there to interest you. Just our garrison, some construction camps, all the islanders left in 1940.
Oh, there are still 2 British families there, in addition to some Guernsey men who look after the sheep and cattle.
Is that so interesting that you need to visit them?
I'll be frank with you, best. I've heard reports, in my opinion well-founded, of a large number of deaths on Alderney.
Death? Tote workers?
Yes.
Where did you hear these reports?
I'm afraid I can't disclose my source.
Then you mustn't expect me to respond to rumours, Herr Borg.
Rumours? With respect, best, I did not come here to be bamboozled. Alderney is administered from Guernsey, is it not?
To a degree, yes.
They indent here for rations, supplies. They make returns to Guernsey. Garrison strength states, OT strength states, and so on. Including deaths. Yes?
Yes.
Then my information can be checked here. There might, after all, be some perfectly innocent reason why 158 tote workers died there in 3 months.
Where did he get this information?
He will not say. It is intolerable. Now what is? The conditions on Alderney or the fact that he's found out about them?
Berlin will not find it amusing, Herr Oberst.
What do you think I do?
I meant, Herr Oberst...
Oh, I know what you meant. But 158 deaths in 3 months.
Well, they die like flies in the winter. They're riddled with disease, especially the Bolsheviks.
So much for our new order.
It's war, Herr Oberst, not politics.
War is politics, if I'm to believe our warlords.
That is playing with words, Herr Oberst. Whatever you may say philosophically, war brings starvation and disease.
Yes, Reinecker, you're right.
We must neutralize this information.
But the information is correct.
Then it must be discredited.
How?
It can be done, if I can find the source. If he goes back to Berlin, believing the story, we're all going to look rather silly.
Dr. Goebbels will be furious.
Do you think that you could manage to worm the source of this information out of him?
I could try.
We, of course, will make all the usual sorts of inquiries, but I'm sure that you could get results much more quickly.
Probably.
The things one has to do for the fatherland.
He's not an unattractive man.
He's late. I don't like hanging around here. There's too many grey lights.
All right, here he is.
Hello, Mr. Borg. Mr. Borg, Jack Foster. Jack Foster, Mr. Borg.
Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
Yeah, I'm late. I'm sorry. I've been visiting some of your charming pubs. Just talking to people. Come.
Oh, there's a message for you from Miss Angle. She says
Oh, yes?
she couldn't find out where you were, but she's gone out to dinner and she'll call in here for you on her way back.
Miss Angle is my censor, but she's very pretty. What's your censor like?
Very ugly, mad as a hatter, knows nothing about newspapers.
It's about normal, I'd say. Let's have a couple of cognacs, Petty.
Oh, no, not here, my card.
Oh, make it 2 beers, then.
2 beers, right.
Oh. I came here with the idea of doing a story about the British and the Germans at war, but at the same time living, working with each other in a friendly manner. It's not quite like that, is it?
You asking me or telling me?
Asking?
No, it isn't like that.
So, what's your lead story for tomorrow?
It's about U-boat victories in the Atlantic. 500,000 tons of Allied shipping sank last month, supplied by the German news agency, of course.
Nothing about von Paulus surrendering the Sixth Army in Stalingrad? Nothing about von Arnim about to surrender the Africa Corps in Tunis?
Well, we wouldn't know about that, but it's good news.
Don't you listen to the BBC?
We're not allowed to.
Or read Guns?
I wouldn't know about that either, and please don't talk about it here, Mr. Ward.
I'm sorry, I thought I was among friends.
Look around you.
Trudy?
I hope you had an interesting day, Nils.
Oh, reasonably.
As I was alone with nothing to do, Klaus kindly took me out to dinner.
Herr Borg? Yes, from Bahnhof.
Good night, Mr. Borg.
Well, you're not going?
I must. Come up and see me in the office, if you like.
Oh, yeah, I'll take you up on that. I think you frightened my friend away.
My apologies, Herr Borg.
Good night, Klaus. And thank you so much.
Good night, Fräulein Engel. It has been a great pleasure.
You were rather short to poor Klaus.
Oh, just a little bit.
I would much rather have been with you.
For personal reasons or professional ones?
Both.
But mostly personal, I hope.
I will probably lose my job when I get back to Berlin. The authorities are very embarrassed and I will be held to blame.
Why?
Because of the lies you've been told when I wasn't with you. I liked that job too. Still, I didn't do the job too well, did I, Nils?
You have been doing fine.
No. Well, let's not bother about me, so long as you get your story.
But I do bother about you. I bother about you very much.
Really?
Shall we talk about it somewhere else?
All right.
Good night, Paddy.
Good night, Mr. Borg. Good night, miss.
Not been matured yet.
But how will you discredit the source of this information when quite plainly it must be our own records?
There are difficulties, I admit.
Indeed there are. Persuading Herr Borg that German official records are a pack of lies does present a few difficulties.
Someone has passed confidential documents to the British. That is treason, and that person must be found.
And how is that to be accomplished?
Borg must be pressed to tell us where he obtained that.
It seems to me, Reinecke, you have a problem here. You can either dismiss all that as mere enemy propaganda based on fabricated evidence designed to embarrass us with the neutral world, or you can take it seriously as an act of treason. What you cannot do is expect to adopt both courses with Herr Borg.
You speak of me expecting, me adopting. With respect, Herr Oberst, it is not exclusively my problem.
If you deny those figures, Borg will want to know the real ones. What will you do? Will you give him some?
Of course.
Some fabrication of your own, I see. Well, then I must tell you that neither Major Friedel nor myself is prepared to falsify the record.
I see.
I thought I should make that clear.
Oh, you do, Herr Oberst. You make yourself perfectly clear. The delicacy of your conscience does you credit.
I suggest, therefore, that we admit those facts as regrettable items of war, that we accept some responsibility for conditions on Alderney, and that we undertake to improve them.
You're not serious.
Shouldn't I be? Isn't it serious that affairs on Alderney are conducted as if it were the Dark Ages?
I don't think the Dr. Todt would agree with your attitude, Herr
Dr. Todt
Oberst.
should go to Alderney to see for himself how things are being conducted in his name. There are 2,700 wretched prisoners over there. Do you know what they have to live on?
Herr Oberst,
this is a half-litre of milkless, sugarless coffee, lunch a half-litre of cabbage water, supper the same, plus a 1 kilo loaf among half a dozen men, on which they have to slave for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week until they drop dead of exhaustion, starvation or disease.
Those are not the official figures, Herr Oberst, as I think you know.
Try eating the official figures, Reinecke, and see what sustenance there is in them. Those are the actual figures, not the ones reported by bureaucrats in Berlin to bureaucrats in Geneva.
That isn't quite just, Herr Oberst.
I know it isn't, Ernst, but I hadn't assumed we were talking about justice.
I agree with Reinecke. The Todt organization must answer for their own iniquities. I don't think it's for us, any of us, to do it for them. If you did, you would be recalled, and that would help no one. Borg cannot be permitted on Alderney. And even if you authorized it, General Müller would overrule it. Neither must he be given confirmation of what's in that.
And without either, he has said he will return to Berlin.
There is no choice.
It will look bad in Berlin, Herr Oberst.
I'm afraid it will, but none of us reckoned on this.
Oh, she'd never have been allowed contact with the islanders.
Reinecke, he's not some spoon-fed hack from the Wilhelmstrasse.
Are you suggesting, Herr
I'm
Oberst, that the
saying
authorities...
that a man such as Herr Borg will not be satisfied with secondary sources. He came here to see for himself.
Oh, which he certainly has.
What's her name? The girl. What's her view?
That she will be held to blame should Borg return empty-handed.
As indeed he will.
None of us will avoid censure, Herr Oberst.
This has got to be stopped. Unless it is, and soon, it will be more than censure.
I agree.
And our only lead is Borg.
There is no alternative but to question him.
Yes, Ernst, you're right.
Ready?
The Germans are onto guns.
Gee.
The copy you gave me was passed on to them, not by me.
What? And don't go letting on about me.
Of course not, but you better tell your friends to close it down.
I knew I should never got mixed up in this. Still, that's Jack Foster's problem.
Then warn him quickly.
Now, listen, I don't want any trouble. I've got German friends, you know, as well. I just don't want to be involved.
But you are, and you involved me.
I'm passing on that paper to you. I only thought it might be of interest to you. I was just doing you a favour as one neutral to another.
It was a favour, too. It was most enlightening. In more ways than you thought.
Now, you're getting a wee bit too deep for me. Now, all I want is a bit of peace. No taking sides.
Sometimes I'm not sure you can avoid it.
Herr Borg?
Yes?
I'm to ask you to come to the Kommandantur.
He has interviewed the newspaperman Jack Foster at the hotel. He's been to see Dr. Martel of the controlling committee at his home, and he's interviewed various people of the local bars. It's impossible to say where he got it from.
This newspaper man, how did he come to meet him?
The farmer at the hotel knew him.
Really? Yes? Send him up. Borg is here.
Well, now have him phone me the moment he gets back. It's very urgent. Yes, thanks.
Berlin, of course, is not concerned about your reading a BBC News bulletin. You have access to their news, for what it's worth, anyway. What they are concerned about, however, is your possibly misinterpreting this inaccurate report of deaths on Alderney.
Oh, inaccurate, is it?
Grossly exaggerated. Sheer propaganda based on forged documents. We admit, of course, that we have had problems on Alderney. Some of the prisoners were in a poor state of health when they arrived, and we have had difficulty in getting food and medical supplies through to them because of constant enemy air attacks upon our shipping. But these difficulties are being overcome, and conditions are now much improved.
Oh, then perhaps I could go over and see them for myself.
Out of the question, I'm afraid, Herr Borg. We are under strict instructions not to expose you to any danger. And the crossing from here to Alderney can be very dangerous.
And how many men have died there?
About a dozen.
Quite a discrepancy from 158.
We would like to know who gave you this.
I don't disclose my source of information, Sturmbannführer. It's a rule of my profession.
Herr Borg, it would be an abuse of hospitality to assist in the dissemination of such untruths. We have the right to know where you obtained this.
I will not tell you.
It is an offense against military law, Herr Borg, to receive enemy propaganda.
I don't disclose confidential source as a matter of principle.
Then I am instructed that your press facilities are withdrawn, and you will be returned to Berlin forthwith.
Any easier?
A bit. It was absolute agony this morning.
Yes, you know, you really are going to have to give up working on guns if you want to get any better.
All right, I'll let the others do it.
Good. You really do need a rest, you know. Now, we're going to try a bit of this stuff to dry up the lesions. All I can give you for the pain is some aspirin and some more of this heat treatment, if it helps.
It does.
Does it? Oh, that's good. Oh, you've had enough for now, anyway. All right, sit up. Now, no fooling, Jack. You really are to let the others take some of the risks for a change. You're too worn out for your own good or anyone else's.
Yes, I know. I'll take a back seat for a bit.
Good man.
I have been given my marching orders.
You should have helped us.
You have wrecked my assignment. Probably finished me in Berlin. Destroyed a relationship. Why?
I had a duty to do.
To put a few Guernsey Islanders behind bars?
We are at war. You may not be, but I am.
Oh, then you've scored a famous victory. Is National Socialism so important? You can forget ordinary human feelings, loyalties?
Yes.
That's very sinister.
Only because you don't understand.
Wrong. I do understand.
Now, gentlemen, you're out of luck. We just closed. I said we're shut.
You are Mr. Patrick Burke?
I am he.
You were a friend of Mr. Jack Foster's?
Jack Foster, now let me see. No, I don't think I know the man.
You've seen this before, I think.
No.
Look at it.
Arnold,
Leave it.
Now, let me see. No, I think I can honestly say I've never seen that before.
Mr. Burke? Mr. Jack Foster is returning your urgent call.
You are the distributor of this lying propaganda and its writer.
I have nothing to say.
This rubbish was found concealed under a floorboard at your house, and this has the identical typeface. Your position is indefensible. Now, Mr. Foster, there is something you must tell me. If you remain silent, you will be sent to the mainland to rot in prison. The statistics relating to Alderney. Where did you get them?
I have nothing to say.
Take him away. A mule. They'll break him soon enough in France.
I doubt it. He has the look of one who will not break.
We shall see. One thing, Major. The business about the Commandant's wife.
Yes.
As things now stand, circumstances in Berlin would not be propitious for me to intercede.
Not propitious. I see.
I'm sorry your visit has not turned out well.
From your point of view or mine?
Certainly Dr. Goebbels will not be pleased with us.
The islander, Foster, what will happen to him?
Prison for 2 years, 3 perhaps, and that would be lenient.
Lenient?
He could be shot for what he did.
For telling the truth?
What do you think might happen to you if you propose to tell the truth?
Oh, I shall be persona non grata on Wilhelmstrasse. Probably expelled from Germany.
That would be a pity. We can ill afford to lose an honorable man.
I do my job, as I see it must be done. But I suspect I'm not quite alone in that, Oberst.
No, I'm sure Foster feels much the same way.
Oh, yes, but,
goodbye, Herr Borg.
Goodbye, Herr Oberst. I must go to Berlin for a short while before I return to Sweden. I will see if there's anything I can do about your wife.
Well, I would be grateful if you would not. She must be responsible for herself. She would prefer that.
Are we not responsible for one another?
Bastards are back. Don't just sit there. Open the door. Get the dog out. Quiet. Lights! Come on, Hans! Oh!
Get him, Toby! After him, boy! Toby! Heel, boy! Heel, Toby!
Walter? Is that you, Walter? Oh, no. Not Toby.
They cut his throat.
Make the most of that. I promised the next 2 dozen to Mrs. Hanlon.
And what for this time?
Soap.
I'd rather keep the eggs and stay dirty. You really need soap?
Yes, you do. She's still got a box in the shop. It's supply and demand.
Isn't there something you could do to make the stuff last longer?
Yes, add boiled up ivy leaves.
No, that's called coffee.
Oh, come on, it's not as bad as all that.
It's filthy, and you know it.
Oh, perhaps I'm just used to it.
Well, I can't say that I am, or ever will be. Excuse me.
Peter,
Mm-hmm.
stay a moment.
John will be waiting.
It won't take a minute.
Very well. And what is it?
Well, sit down, darling.
Sounds serious. Right, all attention.
What's wrong?
Wrong? Is anything wrong?
Oh, but there is. Jean says you seem to have lost interest in the farm.
Does he? Well, I'll have to have a word with Jean.
Yeah, there is something. What is it? You can't take it any more here, can you? Since you've come back from prison, it's not been the same, has it?
No, not really. Well, it's bad enough before.
Is it clear?
Partly.
Well, can you not come to terms with it?
Look, I ought not to be here, damn it.
Well, whether you should or you shouldn't, you are, and there isn't much you can do about it. After all, you did try.
Oh, yes, and Peter Gerard died.
Yes.
Well, next time it'll only be me.
Next time.
I mean, should the circumstances present themselves.
Thank you. You've told me what I wanted to know.
What on earth is it?
Your lunch.
It smells revolting.
It is revolting.
I think I shall eat at the hospital today.
Oh, no, you won't.
Huh? Food hamper from Fortman Mason's, yes?
No. You go.
I'll see you for a minute, Doctor.
Oh, Mr. Nicole. Can't it wait?
No.
All right, you better come in, Asbert.
Oh.
Morning, Mrs. Martel.
Morning, Mr. Nicole.
Is this a professional visit?
I'm not sick, if that's what you mean. It's committee business.
How's Mrs. Nicole?
Oh, she's still got her veins to complain about?
Sorry about the awful smell.
I don't mind me.
Well, that's good. Excuse me?
Yeah, no, I am due out, Mr. Nicole, but I can give you a couple of minutes. How can I help you?
It's your committee I need help from.
You haven't had thieves again, have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, now, look, you know I've already spoken to the committee on your behalf. You're not the only one, you know. There's half a dozen farmers in the same
They
boat.
killed my dog.
What?
Last night. Cut its throat.
Oh, that's nasty. Have you been to the police?
What for? We all know who's doing it, don't we? You, me, the police, everybody, we all know. My chickens all end up in German bellies. It's the Krauts that rule this island, and it's Krauts doing the thieving. Now, what good's the police against that lot?
Yeah, did you actually see anyone last night?
They were Krauts, I tell you.
How can you be so sure?
Well, they weren't foreign slave workers, were they? Because they'd have taken the dog along with them to eat, poor bastards.
Proof, Mr. Nicole. We'd have a case if you had some proof they were Germans.
I'll give you proof. What about that? Let them try lying their way out of that.
Where did you find this?
In one of his pigsties.
Yet nothing at all was stolen last night.
Now, apparently they were disturbed by the dog.
They?
Oh, yes, Nicole swears that several men were involved on each occasion, at least 3.
But why should Mr. Nicole come to you? You're the appointed member of the committee to deal with medical matters.
Yes, well, it seems he wasn't too happy about the way our island police have been handling the situation. And when one does consider that his farm has been raided 6 times in as many months, one can sympathise with his attempt to get anyone to try to help.
Since foreign labour was brought to the island, I regret to say such thefts have become widespread.
Of course, your slaves are responsible for a great deal of thieving, Major Friedel. In fact, the more they can beg or steal from us, the less they have to be given by you. A very sound policy.
You have been told repeatedly, Doctor, the organisation Tote is not our concern, or yours.
Yes.
Now, if
listen,
we can
Major...
return to the matter of Mr. Nicole's farm, please.
Yes, of course. Well, in the last 6 months, he has had chickens stolen from his farm, rabbits, ducks, grain from his barn, even milk from his cows. These thefts all took place at night, during curfew hours, long after your foreign workers were back in their camps.
And Nicole assumes because of this that German troops are responsible.
Well, it's not an unnatural assumption under the circumstances.
As I have said on earlier occasions, I will be quite willing to deal severely with any German caught stealing, providing proof can be supplied to back up the accusation.
A bottle of chloroform with the label clearly written on in German?
German writing on a bottle doesn't constitute proof, Doctor.
Yes, I have had all our medical supplies checked, and no chloroform is missing. It is perfectly obvious that this one came from German medical supplies. Now, Major Friedel, I am in no position to issue warnings, but I can assure you that unless something is done about this widespread thieving, unless, for instance, you allow men like Walter Nicole to stand guard over his livestock at night, they're going to start retaliating in any way they can think of. So far, it's only been a dog that's been killed. There is no reason why it should stop there.
Thank you for coming to see me, Dr. Martel. The matter will be looked into.
Yes?
Oh, may I come in?
If it's my husband you want, he's in the yard.
Well, I'd like to talk to both of you.
Sit down if you must. I'll be in for his tea at 5.
Thank you. I'm sorry I haven't been to call on you before. Well, more often, I mean.
What for?
I beg your pardon?
What do you want to call on us for?
Well, we are neighbours.
The It'll take more than Elizabeth College manners to get round me, Mr. Porteous. Neighbours,
Mrs.
what do you
Nicol-
want? You're not welcome here.
I'm sorry that...
Are you? Is that what you came to say? That you're sorry? Well, I can save you the trouble. You're 2 years too late.
I was going to say, I'm sorry that you still feel like this.
How do you expect us to feel? You put my husband in prison. Nothing's gone right for us since then.
Well, I could hardly stand by and do nothing. Your husband assaulted 2 of my men on my land. John Perrault lost an eye.
Walter was provoked.
He was drunk.
Now you'll go, please.
Look, what I want to talk to both of you about is far more important than a family vendetta.
Oh, important to us? Or important to you?
What's he doing here?
Say what you came to say and then go.
Your son had a sailing dinghy. If you've still got it, I'd like to have a look at it, please, with a view to buying it.
You've got a bloody cheek.
The Germans issued an order last month for all small craft to be brought to St. Peter Port by the 20th. I've seen those boats, Nicol. I watched them being brought in, and I've seen them again since. Tom's dinghy isn't there.
That boat belongs to our boy, and it's going to be waiting for him when he comes home.
And so it wasn't confiscated.
What do you want a dinghy for?
Not fishing. Where'd you hide it? They searched all the boathouses.
You and I have got nothing to say to each other, Porteous. It's been nigh on 2 years since you set foot on my land, and it better be another 2 years before you do it again. Now get off my farm.
You'll be back.
Here, Olive, come and have a look at this.
What now?
Yeah,
Oh, what do you want?
I'm doing a bit of sleuthing.
Sleuthing?
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Now, look, here. That's Nicole's farm, right? Now, the nearest buildings to that are Peter's place, up here. And then half a mile due south in a totally opposite direction, there's that dreadful boarding house run by Mrs. Leach, down here by the crossroads.
Who?
Mrs. Leach, you know, the place with the green tiles, where Claire fell off her bicycle.
Oh, there. Dreadful place.
Yes, exactly. Well, who do you think she has staying at her most undesirable residence?
Germans?
Yes, 3 of them. All corporals and all working at the German medical office.
Well,
Gives them access to chloroform, see?
I do. But surely she'd be suspicious? I mean, if they're bringing rabbits and chickens back to the house, she must have some inkling of what's going on.
She has. She is in it. She's involved in it up to her scrawny neck. I've spoken to her. Yes, she couldn't have been more unhelpful or evasive. And when I actually started talking about the raid on Nicole's farm, she practically spat on the floor. That chap's more unpopular here than the Germans.
Well, be honest, Philip. You can't stand him either.
No, that's perfectly true, but I'm sorry for his wife. Now, the real point is that he's a violent chap, and if he's robbed again, I think anything could happen.
Oh?
The fact remains that if nothing at all is done about these thefts, the situation can only become more serious. Yesterday afternoon, foreign workers provoked a fight on the docks after they'd been caught pilfering a consignment of apples from France. One of our guards was injured as a consequence.
The organisation taught prefer to run their own affairs.
Well, then it's time they ran them better. When these taught workers are apprehended, it was discovered they had all escaped from their camp at Les Vaublés at the end of last month. They had been roaming about the island, stealing and begging for 12 days.
Are you suggesting that just 4 men have been responsible for all the thefts on this island in the last 12 days?
I'm saying that we would do well to bear in mind what is happening in France. Here, so far, the population remains cooperative. The French people, however, show active resistance to the occupation by repeated attacks upon German officers and officials. It would be a tragedy if morale on this island were allowed to sink so low.
I'm sure General Muller is aware of the problem. Any member of the foreign labour force caught stealing is dealt with very severely. However, the fact remains that allegations are not proof, and we should not accept responsibility where none exists.
Whoever is to blame, tote workers, German troops, even the islanders themselves, this thieving must stop before it leads to fatalities.
As there could well have been last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday?
A farmer called Nicole set his dog on thieves. The dog was killed.
Some of his land is in a defence zone, isn't it?
Quite a lot of it.
Yes, I know the man. He's an oaf, a born troublemaker.
But at the moment he's under extreme provocation, as are many others. It's an ignominious position for any man to be in. To have to apply for a permit,
To work on his own property?
His farm has been raided 6 times.
Reineke, you must be aware that thieving on the island has become widespread. 72 cases were reported last week alone, and 60 the week before.
Such petty crimes are surely no more than one would expect from any army of occupation.
The figures quoted are only a fraction of the total. Most people realize the futility of going to the police after these raids. Well, they're not likely to recover food that was probably eaten soon after it was stolen.
And I intend to issue an order reminding the men that these islands have not been conquered. They were occupied without a fight because the people themselves arranged for the abdication of the former occupying power. Now, the least our men can do is to abstain from theft. And since the tort workers are partly responsible for a great deal of this plundering and looting, your influence in this affair would be greatly appreciated.
You can depend upon it, Oberst. I'm sure General Muller is only too anxious to end the shameful lack of discipline amongst our troops. No doubt he'll be receiving a copy of your order. If that is all, Herr Oberst.
Yes, thank you.
Friedel?
If Reineke gets promoted again, I hope I shall be posted somewhere else.
Not this time. This time there's no way out, you German bastard.
What happened?
I told you what happened.
Well, tell me again, precisely.
He broke the lock on the barn door. I followed him in.
You watched him break the lock? And why didn't you challenge him then? Scare him off?
Well, because I thought that once he was inside, I could catch him in there and then go for the police.
And why didn't you do that?
Well, I couldn't shut him in with a broken lock on the door, could I? So I followed him in. I got him cornered with a pitchfork. Then he pulled the gun. I got him with a fork just as he fired.
What sort of a gun was it? I didn't see a gun in there. Where is the gun?
Will he be all right, the German?
Oh, no, of course he won't. I'm sorry, I'm afraid he's dead.
Oh, is that then, isn't it?
One prong went through his lung, the other one went through his heart.
God.
I'm afraid there isn't very much I can do to help you, even if the man was alive. If he shot at you, you could try pleading self-defense, but I don't think that's going to help.
Look, I caught him on my property! Now they've been robbing me blind.
You killed a German soldier! Now, even if you could prove self-defense, they're going to throw the book at you. They are going to make damn sure that nobody else takes the law into their own hands.
What will they do to him?
Well, it depends, doesn't it, what he's charged with. If it's manslaughter, it will be a French prison at best. If it's murder, he will be shot.
Well, what are you going to do to help me?
Why the hell should I help you? All right. All right, I'll give you a bit of advice. Get rid of the body and try to carry on as if nothing had happened. If he came alone, you might just get away with it.
He was alone, all right?
You're very isolated out here. As soon as curfew's lifted in the morning, take the body away from the buildings and bury it, where it won't be found. Ever. No, I'll say nothing about this visit. If I'm questioned about it, I'll say you called me out because your wife was ill. And if I were you, I'd bury that gun with him.
You could have thanked him.
What for?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to bury him like he said. What else can I do?
You're going to stay sober.
Look it up.
I'm just off. Hey.
Oh, thank you.
Why didn't you call me, for heaven's sake?
Yes, I should have. Oh, it's much heavier than I remembered. You off to see the Martells?
Yes. Got any messages?
Oh, they're coming to dinner tomorrow. Could you ask them if 7 will be too early?
That's why the silver's getting an airing.
It ought to be used more, even if it is only for spinach omelettes.
Mother, I thought I might try and see Claire.
Or to tell her you're leaving?
I don't know. Possibly.
Well, I always knew you'd leave again sooner or later. I shall hate your going. You must know I'm the last person on earth to stop you from trying.
There's so much happening that doesn't touch us here. I've got to be part of it. Every week we get reports about how badly the war's going for us. I simply can't stand by any longer and not try and do my bit to stop the rot. I feel so marooned here, Mother. The thought of being stuck on Guernsey for the duration is something I simply won't come to terms with. I've got to get away.
Have the circumstances you spoke of presented themselves?
Yes, I think they may have.
Yes?
A man has been reported missing here, Oberleutnant. He was not present at roll call.
Who is he?
A Gefreiter. From the medical office here, Oberleutnant. Hans Vogel.
Have you checked his billet?
I have already done so myself, sir. Vogel has been missing all night.
All night?
Yes, Sir Oberleutnant.
In that case, I want to see the person who owns the house. And also the soldiers who share the billet with him.
Yes, sir, Oberleutnant.
We've a lot of good friends here. See, I won't get into trouble.
But that's not what I meant. You're going to be here entirely on your own.
Darling, I'm not helpless. Having legs that don't work isn't the same as being paralysed from the neck down. I'm quite able to look after myself. Besides, Betty Ridge is here a good deal of the time.
Yes, I suppose.
Do you have to go alone?
Yes. It was me who persuaded Peter Gerard to make the attempt when the Germans first came. I got him killed. I've never been able to forget that.
Peter Gerard knew the risk involved.
I can be responsible for my own death, but not someone else's.
You both share a billet with Gefreiter Vogel?
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant.
When did you last see him?
Last night, Herr Oberleutnant.
What time last night?
For the evening meal, sir. Afterwards, we played cards.
Until what time?
About 10:30, Herr Oberleutnant.
You, Schneider. You share a room with Vogel, yeah?
I do, Herr Oberleutnant.
What time did he leave the house?
I don't know. We went to bed at the same time. When I went to sleep, he was still in his bed.
And you didn't hear him leave the room?
No, Herr Oberleutnant.
And this morning?
We reported him missing.
The three of you were billeted in the house of Mrs. Leach in May of this year. Yes?
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant.
In late May, a farmer whose land adjoins that of Mrs. Leach reported that chickens and rabbits had been stolen from his property. In July and August, the same farmer reported similar thefts. And again this week.
We know nothing of this, Herr Oberleutnant.
Is that so? Schneider, I understand you're responsible for checking medical stores.
Yes, Herr Oberleutnant.
Why then have you failed to report the disappearance of a bottle of chloroform? You recognize this? You didn't report it, Schneider, because it was you who took it. And you couldn't replace it because you stupidly dropped it into a pigsty earlier this week.
No, sir.
Oh, but yes, Schneider. Now, whether you're responsible for the thefts of livestock, you're certainly responsible for this. And you will be punished accordingly. Now, where is Vogel? Schneider, I'm a very busy man. The more of my time you waste, the less charitable I shall become. Every second wasted in silence, your punishment will become more severe. Where is Vogel?
He went back.
What? I didn't hear!
It was Vogel who dropped the chloroform. He went back last night to try and recover the bottle before it was found.
What time did he leave the house?
11 o'clock.
So Vogel left the house at 11 o'clock to go back to Nichol's farm. And he has not been seen since. Let us hope, for your sake, he has been more fortunate than Nichol's dog. No, Herr Commandant. They're all in it together. Even the woman who runs the billet.
How did she become involved?
The soldiers steal the livestock. What they can't consume themselves, she sells for them on the black market.
And what does the farmer say?
He sticks to the same story without wavering.
But he was found burying the body.
He doesn't deny that. How could he? But he says he found it lying in the field.
And what was his reason for burying it if he didn't do it?
He thought he might get the blame.
No, it's quite obvious what happened. Nicole caught Vogel and killed him.
Show me again where the body was found. That's what? Half a kilometre away from the farm buildings?
Yeah, a little bit more. But it is only a few meters away from the land of Peter Porteous. I think I should call on him.
But we've already had the statements of the other two men, Schneider and Weiss. They saw no reason to mention the Porteous farm.
Nevertheless, Herr Commandant. Well, I'd be failing in my duty if I didn't make a thorough investigation.
Now, could we make that 7:30, Peter, because of surgery? Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure that'll be all right.
And tell your mother to be sensible. We don't want a whole week's butter ration in one night, like last time.
There's nothing but the best shape Porteous. She was busy polishing the silver when I left.
I'll have to get Philip's dress suit out of mothballs.
Oh, is he in, by the way?
No, you've just missed him.
I've just been to see Claire.
How did she seem to you?
She just sat there, staring into the distance, terribly interested in something that nobody else could see.
Yes, I know.
I just don't know whether she took in anything I said. I'm not at all sure she understood what I was trying to tell her this morning. She just shrugged.
What were you trying to tell her?
I was trying to say goodbye.
Goodbye?
Well, Mother knows, of course. She's taken it very well.
Yes, well, don't worry about her, Peter. We'll look after her.
I wasn't going to tell anyone else. The fewer who know about it, the better, but... I mean, it's only because I don't think I got through to Claire that I've told you. I couldn't bear her to think that I deserted her.
Oh, she...
But I've got to go. Well, can you make her understand that?
Yes, I'll try. When will you go?
No, as soon as I can get a boat.
You know of one?
Tom's.
Tom?
Nico.
Walter Nichols' son?
Yes. Why?
Well, Walter's wife phoned Philip about an hour ago. The Germans arrested him this morning.
Nicole?
How dare you get out of this house?
We must talk.
I've got nothing at all to say to you.
I can help your husband.
How?
Did he admit to killing that man?
You didn't kill him.
Well, he was caught burying the body.
It was lying there in the field.
Good. Well, as long as he sticks to that, it'll be all right.
Why shouldn't he stick to it? It's the truth.
If I left a note saying that I'd killed the German, they would have to release your husband.
But they'd arrest you.
Not if I was already off the island.
What reason would you have for killing that man? He was found on our property.
Well, I could always say he caught me carrying fuel cans down to your boat.
But you wouldn't have been carrying a pitchfork at night.
And that's how your husband killed him?
We've been working that field this week. Sometimes Walter leaves the cart up there overnight.
Would he have left the pitchfork too? Well, it'll just have to do.
Why would you do this for Walter?
For the boat. I'd do it for the boat.
Oh, I see. That's what you meant by taking fuel cans down.
Where is it, Mrs. Nicol? Where did he hide it?
When they came round searching for boats, Walter rowed her out and sank her in the shallows. After a few days, he got her up, brought her back and put her in the shed. She's covered with lobster pots and rubbish.
And the outboard?
Roped up to the rafters.
I'd make sure Tom had a decent boat to come home to after the war. That's a promise.
And you'd write a letter?
Yes. And leave it with my mother.
Supposing they catch you after they found the letter. You'll be punished for something you didn't do. You might be shot.
They're going to have to shoot me to catch me, so it won't really make much difference, will it?
You have to turn it twice in the lock. It's always been a bit stiff. Walter took it off the German. It's loaded. When will you go?
Don't worry, Mrs. Nicol. Your husband will be home by the end of the week.
Mr. Porteous. Thank you. My best china. What do you want? What are you looking for?
Evidence, Mrs. Nicol.
What do you mean? What kind of evidence?
Evidence to show that your husband is lying. All right, that's enough. Go and help Kirst with the rest of the house. How long have you known Mr. Porteous?
I've known him since he was a child. We're neighbours. He was concerned about my husband.
The lock on the door of your barn is broken.
Yes. It was broken earlier in the week by German thieves. My husband did report it. If you bothered to come to the farm then, you'd have seen that it was broken.
We found bloodstains in the barn. They're quite fresh.
Animal blood.
You have a permit to slaughter livestock?
This is a farm. We do sometimes have animals to kill, unless the Germans steal them first.
Mrs. Nicol, for a woman whose husband has just been arrested, your attitude is somewhat foolish.
If you're trying to prove my husband killed that man in our barn, then you're the one who's foolish.
Tonight?
Now.
In daylight?
It has to be. Don Boleyn's got a pass to take the lorry down to the beach. He'll be collecting seaweed for about an hour. It's the perfect cover to get me down there.
It's just... it's so soon.
Well, I'd rather have had a chance to look over the boat, but... well, it's just a risk I'll have to take.
Is the tide right?
It's low at the moment. Means I'll have to hide out in the boathouse until high tide will be about 8:30. It's now or never.
Then it must be now. Oh, good luck, darling.
Yes, and you. I'll write from London. Don't know when you'll get it. Look, when you've read this, will you give it to Dr. Martell? Mm-hmm. And that.
Thank you.
You sure we shouldn't wait, Helen?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't mind waiting.
No, Philip.
Well, oh, well, all right, if you say so.
Peter may stay and have something to eat with Jean-Marie.
Yes, what's the problem?
This is lovely, Helen. I don't know what herbs you put in it, but it is delicious.
It's jolly good wine, too.
Thank you.
Now, what kind of problem is it exactly?
Could I have some water, please?
Oh, yes, of course, sorry.
You know, I really feel quite guilty when I eat something nice nowadays. Not that it happens very often.
No, that's true. No, I mean, if there's anything I can do to help.
Help?
With the problem on the farm.
Oh, yes. No, Philip. I'm sure they can manage.
I really can't keep this up any longer, Helen. Peter's not dealing with some emergency on the farm, is he? Is he?
No.
You're not very good at lying, Helen. He told me, you see. He'd been to say goodbye to Claire. He'll be all right.
Would somebody mind telling me what's going on?
Peter's gone.
Gone? Gone where?
Off the island. He's taken Tom Nicholl's boat.
When?
Tonight. Now.
You knew about this?
It was better you didn't know.
Why?
Because I thought you might try to stop him.
I might still just be able to, will you? Excuse me, huh?
No. Philip! I'm glad he's done it. He left this.
For me?
He asked me to give it to you after I'd read it.
Oh, this is madness, bloody madness.
Is it madness to try and save another man's life?
Well, what is it? What does he say?
He's confessed to the killing of the German soldier. They'll have to free Walter Nicol now.
But if he's caught...
If he's caught now, I don't think he'll care what happens to him.
When did he give you this?
He didn't. His mother found it late last night after he'd gone. With that pistol, she gave them to me.
And you knew nothing of his attempt to escape, of course?
No, of course I didn't. If I had, I would have tried to stop him.
Oh, yes.
Will you release Walter Nicol now?
Do you expect us to believe this?
I hope you do.
I'm sure the writer of the letter expected us to believe it.
Will you now release Walter Nicol?
Doctor, where do you think Mr. Porteous is now?
Oh, Weymouth or Poole, I should hope.
I have to tell you that he did not get away. He was intercepted while he was attempting to start his boat.
Oh, God Almighty. Yes, Colonel, that letter, there's something I ought to tell you.
No, tell me nothing. Until you've seen Mr. Porteous.
He's here.
Oh, yes.
Then I should like to see him.
In a sense, you see, he did escape. May I ask you to inform his mother? Or must I do it?
No, of course I'll do it.